calma, juntos. ¿Y qué le queda?
Vamos, mano. Acá, no cabelão James.
No, nada, primero que todo, pues muchas gracias.
Congratulations. Boa, cabelão. Congratulations. Triple kill. Unstoppable. Double kill. Quadra kill.
Não foge do roteiro, é o Bermuda vencendo.
The FFWS Global Finals are in full swing.
ก็โดยรวมสัปดาห์แรกก็บุรีรัมย์ได้ทำได้ดีครับก็ตามคาดได้ที่1ครับ
It's end of week 1 and all eyes are on Buriram. With 5 wins and a record score in the first week, there's only one question. Can anyone stop them?
Yo creo que podemos ganarles.
Dari kita sendiri tim RRQ kita memperbanyak jam latihan, bonding bareng tim, sama kita membuild mental lagi.
بالنسبه للمنافسين اللي ضدنا ما عندناش تخوف حتى واحد فيهم كنشوفهم كاملين منافسين ديالنا ناويين نربحهم كاملين وما عندناش تخوف حتى واحد.
Buriram chính là đối thủ mà khiến cho team mình e ngại nhất. Đó là nhắn nhủ tới Buriram là từng một tụi mình chỉ giấu bài thôi, tới chung kết tụi mình sẽ tung bài thực sự của tụi mình. Buriram hãy coi chừng team WC.
As the chase for the spotlight continues, another heated dispute has risen in Rio, the clash of snipers, starring Moshi, X-Boar, and of course MT7, the backbone of Team Fluxo.
Tao là xạ thủ số 1 thế giới.
ผมอะ the best sniper ของจริง
Não, nem sei o que você está falando, eu sou o melhor. Eu consigo matar os squad sozinho.
ไม่ต้องเล่นละเกมอะเล่นบอลอยู่นี่ก็ชนะได้
Vai ficar se achando, eu consigo acabar com um time tailandês sozinho.
Siêu! Trong khi các bạn đang bận chiến đấu, Watt sẽ giành lấy mọi sự chú ý. Em và team em rất tự tin để có thể đánh bại tất cả đội tuyển và mang cho team mình cái chức vô địch rồi.
Mano, a gente tá jogando bem, pra final nós vai estar 100% e vai amassar.
ถ้าให้ผมทำนายกับตารางคะแนนก็น่าจะเป็นทีมไทยติดท็อปหมดเลยครับแต่ผมอยู่ที่1แน่นอน
The heat in Rio is turning up. Prepare yourself for week 2.
kill. Triple kill.
Bola dele, bravo, pra cima demais.
Quadra kill.
Export, já tomou na passagem, sai do por aqui, dentro pra cima.
Congratulations.
Bom dia, padrinho.
Cadê? Sai dentro aí?
Olha sem vazar, a cidade aí, meu parceiro, que isso?
Que isso, mano?
Igual em ponto, não vamos?
Calma, junto. ¿Y qué le queda?
Boa, Carlos, cabelão James.
Nona, primero que todo, pues muchas gracias.
Congratulations. Boa, cabelão. Luffy, congratulations. Triple kill. Unstoppable. Double kill. Quadra kill.
Fala dele, bravo, não foge do roteiro, é o Bermuda vencendo.
The FFWS Global Finals are in full swing.
ก็โดยรวมสัปดาห์แรกก็บุรีรัมย์ได้ทำได้ดีครับก็ตามคาดได้ที่ 1 ครับ
It's end of week 1 and all eyes are on Buriram. With 5 wins and a record score in the first week, there's only one question. Can anyone stop them?
Yo creo que podemos ganarles.
Dari kita sendiri tim RRQ kita memperbanyak jam latihan, bonding bareng tim, sama kita membuild mental lagi.
بالنسبه للمنافسين اللي ضدنا ما عندناش تخوف حتى واحد فيهم، كنشوفهم كاينين منافسين ديالنا ناويين نربحهم كاملين وما عندناش تخوف حتى واحد.
Buriram chính là đối thủ mà khiến cho team mình e ngại nhất. Đó là nhắn nhủ tới Buriram là tuần 1 tụi mình chỉ giấu bài thôi, tới chung kết tụi mình sẽ tung bài thật sự của tụi mình. Buriram hãy coi chừng team WLC.
As the chase for the spotlight continues, another heated dispute has risen in Rio, the clash of snipers, starring Moshi, X-Bor, and of course MT7, the backbone of Team Fluxo.
Tao là xà hổ số 1 thế giới.
ผมอะ the best sniper ของจริง
Não, nem sei o que você está falando, eu sou o melhor. Eu consigo matar o squad sozinho.
ไม่ต้องเล่นละเกมอะเล่นบอลอยู่นี่ก็ชนะได้
Vai ficar se achando, eu consigo acabar com o time tailandês sozinho.
Trong khi các bạn đang vẫn chiến đấu, Watt sẽ giành lấy mọi sự chú ý. Em và team em rất tự tin để có thể đánh bại tất cả đội tuyển và mang cho team mình cái chức vô địch rồi.
Mano, a gente tá jogando bem. Pra final nós vai estar 100% e vai amassar.
ถ้าให้ผมทำนายกับตารางคะแนนก็น่าจะเป็นทีมไทยติดท็อปหมดเลยครับ แต่ผมอะอยู่ที่ 1 แน่นอน
The heat in Rio is turning up. Prepare yourself for week 2.
Quadra kill. Triple kill.
Bola dele, bravo, pra cima demais.
Quadra kill.
Export, já tomou na passagem, sai do está por aqui, dentro pra cima.
Congratulations.
Bom dia, padrinho.
Cadê? Sai dentro aí?
Olha sem vazar. Agora você tá de aí, meu parceiro, que isso?
Que isso, mano?
Igual em ponto, não vamos?
Calma, junto. ¿Y qué le queda?
Boa, Carlos, cabelão James.
Nona, primero que todo, pues muchas gracias.
Congratulations. Boa, cabelão. Oxi, congratulations.
Kaspersky's now in Free Fire. Get Kaspersky Plus and score an exclusive skin. With the most powerful antivirus, plus tools like unlimited VPN, gamer mode, and a password manager, you'll secure that booyah in style. Don't sleep on this. Keep your devices safe and play safe with Kaspersky.
What's up, survivors? The time has come. This is Rio de Janeiro, where anything can happen. And this is your chance to show who's in charge. The whole world is watching. Every move, every decision is your shot at making history. You can't slip up.
Booyah!
Rio is more than just the backdrop. Here, you've got to take risks. There's no room for mistakes. Every second counts. Every move could be your last. You are here to shine. The challenge is to become a legend and take the spotlight.
Tudo é Brasil, meus amigos, o mais alto nível do Free Fire.
E aí? Vai encarar?
E aí, pessoal! Sejam todos muito bem-vindos. Eu me chamo Camila do XP e tá começando Free Fire World Series. Sim, mais uma semana, última semana e derradeira, tá bom? A gente vai descobrir juntos no domingo quais são as 12 equipes classificadas pro Ponte Rush, a famosa corrida pelo bônus. E assim, liderança tá na mão dos tailandeses. Buriram, em 2 rodadas, conseguiram 5 buias. Vamos ver o que eles vão conquistar nesse nosso segundo final de semana. Good morning, Ansu.
Bom dia, Camilota! And welcome back to our Free Fire World Series Global Finals right here in Rio, the heart of Brazil. Today we will start our first day of the second week of knockout stage, and it will be the last week to get the ticket to the finals. So today we have Bermuda United Esport, who are dominated the ranking board, and we also have Twisted Minds, but don't forget we also have Fluxo and Corinthians.
Exatamente. Fluxo e Corinthians estão jogando, que por sinal, Fluxo, de adianto para você, telespectador, estão ali na 4ª colocação na nossa classificação geral. Então eles podem trazer algo completamente diferente para essa semana. Treinaram muito, estão muito mais do que preparados, e o Corinthians também, tá? Corinthians tem que ter uma recuperação relevante, eles estão no 12ª colocação, então precisa segurar essa vaga. Mas vale lembrar você, telespectador, que a gente finalizou nosso domingo com 4 times ali. Se a gente finalizasse o domingo ali pra grande final, teremos 4 times brasileiros. Então a expectativa é alta e bora torcer pro Brasil, Yansu.
For our Brazil teams, we have a very strong start from Fluxo, since they are in the 2nd place of the ranking board. But don't forget about Corinthians as well, because they are improved really fast. For the C region, today we have Hui Esport from Vietnam, Bermuda United Esport, and Twisted Minds. But don't forget, we also have Evos Divine and RQ Kazu, which is a really strong teams as well. So I'm looking forward to see more and more of them from now.
Exato. E assim, vamos fazer o seguinte, você que acabou perdendo o nosso domingo de FFWS, bora de recap. Vamos conferir o que aconteceu, né, Yusu?
Before we start our game today, let's head with me and Camilota to our recap and highlights.
MD7, fala dele, bravo, não foge do roteiro, é o Buriram vencendo.
The FFWS Global Finals are in full swing.
ก็โดยรวมสัปดาห์แรกก็บุรีรัมย์ได้ทำได้ดีครับก็ตามคาดได้ที่ 1 ครับ
It's end of week 1 and all eyes are on Buriram. With 5 wins and a record score in the first week, there's only one question. Can anyone stop them?
Yo creo que podemos ganarles.
Dari kita sendiri tim RRQ, kita memperbanyak jam latihan, bonding bareng tim, sama kita membuild mental lagi.
بالنسبه للمنافسين اللي ضدنا ما عندناش تخوف حتى واحد فيهم، كنشوفهم كاملين منافسين ديالنا ناويين نربحهم كاملين وما عندناش تخوف حتى واحد.
Buriram chính là đối thủ mà khiến cho team mình e ngại nhất. Đó là nhắn nhủ tới Buriram là từng một tụi mình chỉ giấu bài thôi, tới chung kết tụi mình sẽ tung bài thực sự của tụi mình. Buriram hãy coi chừng team FFWS.
the chase for the spotlight continues, another heated dispute has risen in Rio, the clash of snipers, starring Moshi, X-Bor, and of course MT7, the backbone of Team Fluxo.
Tao là xà hữu số 1 thế giới.
ผมอะ the best sniper ของจริง
Não, nem sei o que você está falando, eu sou o melhor. Eu consigo matar o squad sozinho.
ไม่ต้องเล่นละเกมอะเล่นบอลอยู่นี่ก็ชนะได้
Vai ficar se achando, eu consigo acabar com o time tailandês sozinho.
Trong khi các bạn đang bận chiến đấu, Watt sẽ giành lấy mọi sự chú ý. Em và team em rất tự tin để có thể đánh bại tất cả đội tuyển và mang cho team mình cái chức vô địch rồi.
Mano, a gente tá jogando bem. Pra final nós vai estar 100% e vai amassar.
ถ้าให้ผมทำนายกับตารางคะแนนก็น่าจะเป็นทีมไทยติดท็อปหมดเลยครับแต่ผมอะอยู่ที่ 1 แน่นอน
The heat in Rio is turning up. Prepare yourself for week 2.
What is up, survivors? Welcome to the English desk. It's going to be Danley and Husky as your casters for today, day 1 of week 2. And Husky, these matches are pretty intense because not only is this the final week for teams to secure their points, but this is a really competitive grouping. It's Group A versus B.
Yeah, we've reached a halfway point, and by the end of this week, we only have 12 teams making it to the point rush, and then afterwards the grand final. Personally, I think week 1 has not disappointed my expectations. You know, BRU is still at the top, but I'm very impressed with some of the performance we've seen, like WAG currently in 2nd place. And this is the best that Vietnam as a region has ever performed in a knockout stage up to this point.
So obviously lots of expectations for WAG to really push forward, to really wave that flag high for Vietnam, but I'm always going to be that bad guy. You know, you see the rise of a team, but the question is, can they continue rising in that 2nd week? Because we've seen teams before have a glorious week number 1, where they grab a whole bunch of points, completely blow the competition away, but then all of a sudden you have that 2nd week come in, where teams have had a whole week to see how you play, to strategize, and possibly even snipe you. Do you think there could be a chance that WAG might have a target on their back now?
If they didn't in week 1, they probably have a few on their back now. I wouldn't put it past them, but I still feel like BRU is the one that's going to be catching most of the heat, right? That has been the case for every single tournament that they participate in. Though I would say there is one team that I am slightly surprised by how by the performance, but not in a good way, right? EVOS Divine, we touted them as one of the up-and-comings from Indonesia, aside from Bigatron, but right now they're not doing too well. 16th place and not even close to top 12. Hopefully, you know, today we get to see their recovery because they only got one more day after today to make it to point rush.
Yeah, so groupings-wise, I've got to ask you about for EVOS Divine. Is this supposed to be the better play day for them, the easier grouping, or are we expecting them to perform better on their 2nd play day?
I feel like it's even, actually.
You think it's
right?
even?
Yeah, I think so, right? Because if you're playing against if you're playing today, you're playing against like BRU, you're playing against Twisted Minds from Group A. If you're playing B and C, you have Falcons, you have Attack All Around on the other end. I think it's more of a pick your poison. I feel like for EVOS Divine, they've beaten these teams before when we saw them at EWC, but right now it doesn't seem like that's the case, right? They haven't been able to find their footing at all. They've been really missing out on all these crucial opportunities, and it's really starting to hurt them because they haven't even broken the 100-point mark yet.
Well, let's see if they can grab those points this week, because if it's not this week, then unfortunately it's going to have to end up being next year for this team, because it's not just EVOS Divine. I mean, everyone competing in the competition, they're all aiming for top 12, but you know, 6 teams are going to have to go home at the end of this play week. But let's start things off here with groups A versus B, Husky. Very quickly, let's introduce our 2 groups.
We got Group A, we have BRU, Buriram United Esports, Hua Esports, Reta Esports, Twisted Minds, and RRQ Kazu. And for Group B, we got CLG, of course. And I think in this case, right, for Group B, we got CLG, Fluxo, we got a Bigatron, Delta, we got the Corinthians, and EVOS Divine, WASK. All of these squads, I feel like when you look at Group B as a whole, it definitely feels like they will struggle a bit more compared to the teams from Group A, right? Because you got powerhouses like BRU and RQ Kazu, and I think it is the case thus far, aside from Fluxo and Bigatron Delta, who are performing slightly better. Everyone else is having a rough time. WASK in 17th place, Evo's Divine in 16th. You got CLG, they are in 14th place. Corinthians barely holding on in 12th.
Barely holding on, and that's quite concerning for a team, right? The fact that if you're sitting in 12th place halfway into the competition, you not only have to try to stay in 12th place, but you also have to take into consideration, are there going to be any other teams that are going to perform on that second play week? Because there are teams that have very strong second week spurts. But as we saw on the screen just now, that's going to be our format for today. Standard Bermuda, first map of the day. Overall standings though. So just a quick recap. As you can all see, Buriram United, I think everyone that watches Free Fire competitively, you know who this team is, sitting in that top spot with a very comfortable lead over second, third, and fourth place. In particular, against WAG and Twisted Minds, the closest teams to potentially compete for that first spot. But everyone else after that, I think the goal here is really just to maintain that top 12. Because aside from that, you don't really get much of an advantage outside of just qualifying for top 12.
Yeah, honestly, it goes back to what we've always been talking about, right? The benchmark is the bottom line. Just make top 12, get the point rush, survive point rush, get to grand finals, and then perform your best on that very last day. Because so far, it's been BRU all over, right? It feels like it's just another day, just another tournament. You know, most elims, highest damage, most assists, every single category dominated by BRU.
Yeah,
but
and I want to also remind our viewers as well, because BRU had a really interesting situation happen last week where they had to play with their substitute for their first play day because Moshi was unfortunately unwell. And some people question, you know, like, oh, okay, is Buriram actually starting to underperform? As soon as Moshi came back for play day number 2, that was it. You know, Buriram was back to 100. So I question how many points teams are going to be able to get now, knowing that Buriram is playing with their full roster in this grouping, because originally it was with their substitute for this group matchup.
Yeah, well, to be very fair, even when Declong played on day 1, they still
did great.
Yeah, it's kind of crushed the competition, right? Like me and AJ, we were joking that, man, even at 75% BRU is still like better than almost all the teams. And even when you look at the head-to-head between Moshi and Saming, it's not even remotely close, right? Moshi is just miles ahead of his counterpart. And not to forget, even the substitute, even Declong, he was the first world champion for Thailand with EVO's Phoenix Rise back then. So, you know, coming back onto the main stage playing for one day, I think it's just a trip down memory lane for him.
Look, I think he's happy he got to play it all to begin with, right? So let the man have one game, then he can sit on the sidelines and let the team do the rest of the heavy lifting, because holy, Buriram looks scary for their second play day. So I know everyone is probably freaking out now. Everyone else in that grouping is freaking out, knowing that Buriram is going to be in tip-top form for today. So I think the question you have to kind of ask, or at least think about for these teams competing today, is what's going to be the goal? You've had a week to prep your strategies, to think about where you want to drop, where you want to avoid in particular, and maybe even teams that you might want to try and feed off of, because this has been a strategy used in the past where teams, if you desperately need points, but you feel confident that you can hot drop a team and win every single time, this is literally the best time to do that.
I mean, teams have tried, but most of it didn't really end well. I think you probably would do it if you are, you know, guaranteed to make it to point rush. I would say one of the teams that people were looking forward to beat BRU, or to be the biggest chance of defeating BRU, was actually Fluxo, right? Like now currently they're in 4th place. They're almost 100 points behind BRU. And I do wonder how Fluxo is going to perform on the second week of knockout stage. If ever they make it to the grand finals, will the performance be a lot more different like last year where BRU completely crushed the competition? And then come grand finals, back then Magic Squad destroyed BRU in the final round and got the trophy, right? Will it be that case?
I think I really think it's going to happen, Husky. We've seen it time and time again. I would not be surprised if that does end up happening again this year, but it looks like we are getting ready to jump into game number 1 here, survivors. I hope you're ready for this. Map number 1 is going to be Bermuda, but we do have to toss it over to our hosts so that we can get this match going right now.
Vambora, Peu, vamos para a nossa primeiríssima queda direto de Bermuda, Yansu.
Yes, and we are about to start our first game with Bermuda map, a very basic map to open the Chaos match right now. So, my prediction to first Booyah for this match is gonna be Indonesian team. What about you?
Brazil.
Of course, I would love to. So, we are all ready to take off, me and Camilota. Yay! Vankara?
Bora decolar, porque os jogadores já estão posicionados. Então aguenta, coração, pega essa pipoca, porque a decolagem foi autorizada!
Okay, Husky, I need you to tone down those expectations because we do not want to start cursing teams in this first matchup, especially with how desperate some of these teams are looking to grab these points. So here's the flight path, directly south to northern flight path. So anyone that's trying to aim for those very, very left or right drop points, they're going to have to try and figure out whether they still want to go there or change their minds. So far, so good. It's looking pretty clear. We're not seeing any hot drops, so I want to say it's a bit of a respectful drop for game number 1 because I think everyone's feeling the heat now, especially with how desperate some of these teams need these points.
Absolutely, and even if this circle, right, this is the BRU circle, looks so good for them. They love peak. It has been their drought spot for the longest time, so no one has dared to contest them when it comes to Bermuda, and the fact that Circle has them in the center means that BRU, they don't really have to even think about moving much. Comes down to CLG though, because they do drop that clock power, which is right beside Bermuda, and last we checked in, at least from last week, CLG, they also tend to just hunker down. We know that from week 1, the teams actually played incredibly fast in these opening rounds. We'll see if that changes.
Well, it looks like it's going to be really slow for this matchup, which I think is quite surprising, right? We're so used to seeing Bermuda be one of the fastest and most active early game maps in the entire competitive scene for Free Fire. But hang on a minute though, it looks like Bigatron is about to land into Retta. Now the thing is, Retta is currently split. They've gone for a bit of a 2-2 split with Vitalo and Carlos here, and the rest of Bigatron coming in. The roster is split. I'm a little bit worried here for Retta. Like, do you really want to try and commit for a fight when your team is not really together?
They do have some long-range weapons, right? Like, Vitalo already got one. It is a trade, so sadly they didn't get to secure the point. But it is important for both of these teams because they are very close in that to the 12th spot. So whoever gets wiped out actually will just be on the back foot for the at least for the end of round 1. Good shot from Ikao onto Carlos. That would be point number 2 for BTR. Retta, they did get the revive off screen, but they have bigger problems to deal with, right? They got the Corinthians on them.
That was such a bad time there for Retta. They had Bigatron coming in from one side, then the Corinthians came in from the other side. So such an awkward pincer maneuver, crippling the team in the early game, forcing them to go for a complete reset. And hopefully that, I think at this point, the team is praying that they can find a place to safely drop in and reset. But this has set them back in terms of their early game. Now, speaking of early game, Corinthians, do they want to try and compete with Bigatron? It looks like that is the plan. They will enter to a tree though, bit of a slight misplay, but that's not too big of a deal. Although switching on over here, this is not a matchup WASK wants. They're about to run into Buram, the last team you want to run into in an early game skirmish.
Well, unfortunately, they do not know that it's BRU. See, they're gonna actually make the commitment, so Wasana clearly sees that. So 3 bodies making that, taking that jump. It's gonna be an early shot. The A124 being thrown out, even the ice grenade, glue melters, everything to the back of the fence. WESK, they might have a good chance because this is a split up BRU. You get a 2v3 situation with WESK having the man advantage. See if they can overpower BRU with numbers.
I don't even know if you really need numbers here. I mean, the team is not doing too bad there with just that 2-2 split, but the rest of the team is coming in, so it looks like Buriram actually, no, they're just going to abandon. So they don't want to bother fighting WASK. I mean, if you think about it from Buriram's perspective, they don't have to fight anybody, right? They're sitting on top of the leaderboard. They're not really pressured to grab those points. So avoiding this fight was probably a really good decision for the team as well. Just ensure that they don't lose their points early on. But does WASK maybe want to be the ones to pursue for this, right? Like, is WASK... what's their status in terms of points? Like, how many points are they kind of looking to grab today?
Well, to tie up with Corinthians in 12th spot, they need 50 points. And that's if Corinthians don't get any points, right? So margins are very, very big. Hua and Evil's Divine, this is also very interesting because Evil's Divine, they desperately need some points. They're 20 points ahead of WASK, and that means they still need 30 to match up with Corinthians. So that's their first onto Hua. Funnily enough, the difference between Reda and Bigatron is just 10 points at the start. Look at the Corinthians. Actually, BTR are about to wipe them out. So this is incredibly good news for Bigatron Delta.
Great news for Bigatron Delta. They got a couple of points under their belt. They've crippled another team in the process. So this is great. But the thing is, Bigatron are looking to play into them. So they're going to have to try and play a game of chasing and see if they can try and avoid this. Bigatron, though, they will be losing Dix, who does get knocked down thanks to Nando. He will be able to get the finish off as well. So that's going to be another point in the pockets of the Corinthians. Nando, I mean, he's doing a really good job buying time for the rest of his team to really just abandon ship.
Unfortunately, had to give his life up. Another revive for BTR. Honestly, the biggest winner of this extended skirmish, right? Like BTR against Corinthians and Reta. All these three teams are only separated by 10 points. So the fact that BTR got 6 total points puts them in a very, very good spot. Very comfortable if they can make it until the end. Can't say the same for Evil's Divine because they just lost 2 of them. It's going to be Bara and Aim God going down. Instant revive coming through, but Gade will also fall victim. So Hua Esports picks up 3 free points.
Luckily, they still have one player left remaining on the side of EVOS, and he was able to get the escape. So, they got some revenge, because remember they lost death earlier on to EVOS, but using that scouting knowledge. I love teams that do this sometimes, where I think for the average player, you'd kind of see this solo player scouting around thinking, what are they doing by themselves? What are they going to be able to accomplish if they can't go for the solo? Sometimes you just need information. And I love the fact that Hua capitalized on that knowledge, knowing that they were going to be able to cut off EVOS in the long run. So Hua, big winners in that. Yeah, they lost death at the beginning, but they did severely cripple one of the Indonesian teams. And this was also a pretty big deal for EVOS because we spoke about this earlier on, how this team is struggling in the competition. They can't afford to lose fights like this.
Yeah, this is like this. Actually, I feel like this FFWS is a very different scenery for the Indonesian teams. We look at how RQ Kazu fares up against DLG, just completely drives into a war zone. DLG more than prepared with all these arsenals, and RQ, they are just trying to scramble for any signs of life, but they are dropping like flies. Razor goes down, Abe also falls, Dutz gets picked off. It is just a massacre in favor of CLG, and unfortunately, Abai now has to deal with 3 members of CLG, and he has really nowhere to run. He's gonna get outnumbered, Pinson from the side. Abai, last attempt, did not work out. RQ Kazu getting completely wiped out by CLG.
What a disaster. And they only picked up 1 elimination for the round as well. So literally 1 point for this team in their first game of the day. Not looking too good there, unfortunately, for RRQ's head start. Now, speaking of Twisted Minds, on the other side of the map, they are struggling against WK, losing so many of their players. Thankfully, they aren't eliminated out of the competition yet, but this late into the game to lose that many players, that is going to hurt. And you can see right now, WK, they're continuing to pursue.
Yeah, they're actually being incredibly aggressive. But if they can pick up Twisted Minds, it would be great. It seems like they will find Exposies. That is something. Now they get to gatekeep that northern side of the circle. what a great timing to talk about Indonesian region, right? Because this FFWS, they only have, what, 3 out of 5 teams that participate, right? Usually they have full attendance, or at least one team that didn't make it, but this is the first time that you only have 3 teams, EVOS Divine, RQ Kazu, and BTR. It's quite unfortunate to see that, EVOS Divine is having a rough time. RQ Kazu completely just kind of dropped the ball, and the best performing team is BTR, and BTR isn't even performing that well overall.
Yeah, I think people are going to kind of question at this point how many of these teams are going to even qualify to begin with. Because I think so many of them, if things continue on this current trajectory that we are seeing in this game number 1 today, I think Indonesia is at risk of maybe only even having only 1 representative for our top 12, which would be a very scary thought for the region. Now, switching on over to Fluxo, we haven't seen too much action for this team as they haven't really run into anybody. No eliminations either, so they've had a relatively free game up until this point. Now, we know Fluxo, once they start to see some players on the map, they will start to, pull that trigger because they're wanting to try and grab those points. Because we saw last week, Fluxo, they can be at the top of the leaderboard, but to do that, and especially up against a team such as Buriram, you have to start picking up those eliminations. And there are still 39 players left in the lobby, so plenty of points to go around now, but you have about 1 to 2 minutes left before those bodies hit the floor.
Fluxo plays incredibly slow, like the big change from who they were last year and now, it's pretty jarring. Like, they're big fans of Mars Electric, one of the few teams that for some reason likes the power plant, but also they really don't move unless they are forced to, unless someone comes and picks a fight with them or the circle pushes them away. If not, they will just play extremely slow for that final phase of the game. Sometimes it can be a detriment, right? Like, you get into a final phase, there are multiple fights you need to take on, and you don't have enough resources. That's where Fluxo gasses out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if they can work with no resources, I think they'll work in their favor, but we'll have to see if that's going to work in favor of Fluxo as teams are slowly trying to make their way into that circle. We do see Buriram here finding a nice little compound for themselves going down the hill. No one really in range of being shot as of yet, although Bigatron is possibly going to be within their line of sight very soon. Now, we know Buriram, they're playing very, very slowly for their first matchup today, but again, we have to stress this. They are sitting in first place with, I think, over 30 points over second and third place. So they're not in a position where they're forced to go for all these eliminations or to be the aggressors. They can wait for these other teams to sort of play into them. And if they can eliminate Bigatron, who is probably one of the biggest teams in this lobby for game number 1, that's probably one of the biggest contenders out of the running for game number 1. Although, speaking of Bigatron, it looks like Big Boss was able to get the snipe there off onto Ikal. So the team is now down to 3 players. They will be able to fight back there with Kyung, who manages to catch out Leo. But, look at that grenade catching out multiple players in WASK. Oh my gosh, Koja with the play. But look who's here. It's EVOS, their brother team.
What a savior. Koja landed a nade right on the body of one of the WASK members. And it's this collateral, right? The cluster completely destroyed the entire team. 11 points for BTR. And they have a pretty good position to work with. They don't have to worry too much about EVOS coming in. Although the blue zone does cover only a part of the roof. They get the snipe of the 2 members of EVOS and they rush in. Kyung immediately takes advantage of that. So this is just basically a dungeon crawler for BTR right now. Just wiping out team after team. Bara gets shot by Jonah. EVOS Divine meeting their end.
I see Twisted Minds flying into the circle as well, but so far, EVOS, they just had a very terrible mid-game. They thought they were going to be safe, but squished in between the top 2 teams in the lobby. Yeah, no thanks. They will have someone sit in the center of that next circle. But speaking of other teams, we have Hua fighting up against Fluxo here, who is playing on the low ground. We've got a monster truck there where that Hua is using for cover at the moment, but so far, no opening for either of these teams. All it will take is 1 headshot for this fight to go all on out, but so far, Fluxo really struggling to push into Hua.
So hard to push from that low ground, right? They've already lost MT7 as Dev takes them out, so I mean, Hua Esports are just winning on all fronts. All these individual players, right? The snipers win, the rushers are winning their 1v1s, and unfortunately for Fluxo, They just put in a horrible position to begin with, and Bops does stand no chance. Hua Esports finds a clean wipeout, and that's 7 points for them.
Very unfortunate there with the terrain there for Flux. So Hua, though, going to be super happy to pick up those points. Now, the issue here for Hua is that they still aren't in that circle. They have to fight their way through. We do eventually see E-Boss being taken out of the competition, but Wasana is going to be hit on the ground there. As we do see some competition, they won't be able to get the pickup, but Let's Not Get High is going to be the next one to drop. And Wasana looking to try and go for the pickup, but the cover, it's just not good enough there, as Wasana is going to be the next one to go down. And now it's just Moshi hiding in a compound all by himself.
Not getting any breaks, having to fight the Corinthians with BTS shooting them at the back. BRU has their work cut out for them.
Oh,
Moshi is out for revenge as 1-2 coming through for this man. Never doubt him. As Koja goes down, Moshi just wiped out BTR and found revenge for his fallen comrades to keep BRU in the running. Well, they just got knocked down, but 3 extra points before elimination. I'll take that any day.
Look, that man knew there was no way he was going to get into the circle, right? So sometimes you have to play dirty, and Moshi was disgusting. Someone give this man a bath. Now, the rest of our teams, though, looks like this next circle, it's not going to be a very generous run there. It is right out in the open. There's no compound to speak of. We do have one being utilized by Retta at the moment, but they will have to start making a move very, very soon. Blue wall is going to be very crucial here, as well as the natural cover from those trees, but the terrain does not look generous for anybody.
Not at all. And Retta looking incredibly strong. This could be a very first Booyah in the knockout stage, right? They really need it to make it to the top 12. Corinthians, of course, you still have 2 more members left alive, not really in the best position. They will take the launch pad straight into CLG, and as just a death sentence, Nando X actually finds a trade somehow. Joker also getting knocked down, but unfortunately Corinthians do not have the numbers to keep on going, so CLG, now with 10 eliminations and 3 members, will have to face off against the entire Retta squad.
Well, so far CLG, they're going to try and play with that low ground as that circle starts to move. They're going to try and see if they can maybe utilize some of these corners. Blue wall melters being deployed there onto the players of Retta. CLG, though, it's looking so unhealthy as FAQ gets chipped down and knocked down onto the ground. We do see Joker fighting all on his own as the entire roster of Retta, they advance onto Joker. They eliminate him too. Retta still 4-man strong as we see DXR doing the best that he can, but Retta, what a comeback for this team. They had probably one of the worst early games we saw starting this matchup. They got pincered by 2 teams. They escaped with 2 of their players. They had to go for the complete reset. But they cut the Booyah hustle.
Yeah, the last team standing, the one that's laughing at the very end, they got jumped by Purgatory Delta, they got jumped by Corinthians, and they were the ones who got the Booyah. First ever Booyah for Retta Esports in the knockout stage. Talk about how important it is, because Retta Esports were in 13th spot. They were 3 points behind Corinthians, 10 points behind BTR, but with this Booyah, it should put them in a good spot in top 12 temporarily.
Temporarily, I mean, at this point, you kind of want to keep things going here, Husky, but Retta gonna be absolutely ecstatic with themselves. We are gonna have to continue with Retta though. Let's see what they have to say after securing the first Booyah of the play day.
Booyahzão da Latam aqui, né, pra ser mais direta, reta e esportes. Nossos manitos conseguiram aqui o seu primeiro Booyah na competição. Estamos muito felizes aqui de ver eles garantindo esse Booyahzão no primeiro dia do último final de semana. Vamos trocar uma ideia então com o Vidalão? Please, you still go ahead.
Thank you, Carol. So first of all, congratulations on your first Booyah today, Ready Esport. So Vidalão, since this is your first Booyah in the second week of the knockout stage, do you have anything you want to share to the world that you will be a part of the global finals?
Felicidades por su primer Booyah. Debido a que este es su primer Booyah en el segundo fin de semana de la fase de eliminación, ¿hay algún mensaje que quieras mandar ahora que consiguieron ese Booyah ahora?
Sí, muchas gracias primero que nada, pero sí, o sea, vamos empezando, sabemos que no veníamos tan bien, pero es lo que trabajamos toda la semana para venir mejorando y para poder lograr esto, y nada, que siga confiando la TAM, que vamos con todo esto, apenas va empezando.
Well, thank you very much for all the kind words. We know that we were not playing our best before. However, this is just a little showcase of everything we have worked on during the week, throughout the week. So this is just the very beginning. Latam is going to bring so much more.
Perfect. A pergunta da Yusu foi, já que esse é seu primeiro buia por aqui, eu quero saber, o que você gostaria de compartilhar com as pessoas que ainda não viram muita coisa do time da Reta Esportes? E ele falou que sabe que eles enfrentaram muitas dificuldades no primeiro final de semana e que eles realmente se prepararam durante toda essa semana, treinaram bastante e estão aqui para mostrar para o que vieram, que é a vitória. Okay, I know Vidal is kind of a dancer, and I would like to know if he has like a victory dance to show us, if he got some moves for it.
Dice que sabe que eres un bailarín y quiere saber si tienes algún movimiento que les quieras enseñar. Un pasito, tírate un paso.
Música, no. No, era así, mejor el de... Parado no baila, no baila.
Good. Thank you so much. Congratulations on your buia. E vamos de melhores momentos, porque por aqui Reta Esportes está muito feliz e ó, parado no bailão.
Thank you so much, Carol, and thank you for being our translator today. And again, congratulations to Reta Esports, and I hope to see you guys rise more shine. And now, thank you for watching our interview. Let's get back to our caster and watch the highlights.
Oh, thank you very much to our host and Reta Esports. Congratulations on their very first booyah in the knockout stage. So I went through the history. Reta Esports, they haven't been around for too long. I think they've been here since 2022, but interestingly enough, most of their previous records were from 2024 itself. So if they make it true to the point rush, this is going to be the first time in the Orcs history that they've made it into top 12, which is pretty impressive because last time we saw them on that world stage, it was EWC. They fell short. They finished 14th. Didn't make it past knockouts, but I mean, this performance in game 1 was actually pretty promising.
Just looking at the numbers and everything that you've told us so far, it seems like they are improving at an incredible rate. Like a dangerously scary rate. And to see them be able to play on the world stage like this, to make a recovery where I think a lot of teams would have really fell short, I feel like Reta could be another team that might be in that same position as WAG, an underdog that we really need to keep an eye on and really just don't underestimate up until this point. Because, you know, I mean, Husky, we've seen it time and time again. Group stage, the whole point of this part of the competition of knockouts is to make it to top 12. After you qualified and you made it to top 12, that's when you bring in the big guns. And sometimes I feel like underdogs have a big advantage going into grand finals like this, because who's prepping for an underdog?
I don't know. Honestly, we've seen some pretty crazy underdog stories. I know that, like, for example, a team like Reta from, I believe, from Mexico, right? In this case, the underdog, I don't think there's been an org from that region that has made it too far on the global stage. The latest surprise we got was the Netshoes Miners, right, from Brazil region at EWC. But I think if we are prepping for underdog story, I gotta see a bit more from Reta Esports. This one booyah is good, but it's not convincing enough, because I could easily say that, man, WAG could be our underdogs because we didn't expect them to perform well, and they kind of showed up pretty huge. So, you know, gotta give it some time. I think Reta Esports are onto something though, because they do have some pretty experienced players, you know, like Lopex XL, Vidal, Chris, Carlos. We've seen them plenty of times.
We'll let the gameplay do the talking, because we're not really done for today. We're only just getting started here, folks. We have plenty more games to go, 5 more games to be exact. And obviously, jumping into this next game, teams that didn't do well in this first matchup, they got to come up with a plan B. They've got to make that comeback happen. We saw a couple of teams already in that first matchup not going to be too happy being eliminated so soon. First team in this first round was RRQ. I think RRQ this was a team that was considered one of the top teams at one stage in the Free Fire ecosystem. One of the best teams that was competing and fighting toe-to-toe with a lot of the Thai teams. Now, Indonesia as a region, as a whole, it's starting to crumble. And I kind of question what has happened to this region overall. Where has their power gone?
I don't know, actually. I feel like maybe other teams are just catching up. Just overall, I know that Indonesia, RQ Kazu was kind of the premier standards, right? Like the Legalov era back then, before he moved to...
They were the idols, I think, of the region. For the longest time, RRQ was the team that everybody in the region was looking up to. And now they've really fallen far from grace.
I think I feel like the dawn of the new Indonesian era probably started around FFSI 2022, right? We see teams like GRC, Aphrodite, Thorad showing up. RQ Kazu was there, and then afterwards we have all these rebranding, you know, like GRC, Aphrodite into Poco Stars, and then all these teams rebrand, and then Bigatron Delta shows up. I feel like from that point onwards, you are seeing the Indonesian ecosystem just develop at a very fast pace, and teams are starting to overtake RQ Kazu. They're starting to do what they do better. I think BTR is a very good example. They play sort of like RQ at the start, but they've taken that and they refined it, right? Like RQ likes to play with info. They like to play slow. BTR does the same, but they also have members that can get in your face, which is something that RQ has been struggling for quite a while. And I think right now they are struggling to play as a team when it mattered the most.
I think that was a really good way of sort of describing the issue. The issue being that they are currently struggling in active play, where they are the ones determining where the fights happen, when it happens, to be the ones to start the fights. They are, I mean, they've even done this for a long time. RQ's always been reactive, right? They've always waited for someone else to come into their territory and for them to snap them up. So unless something changes for RRQ, I kind of fear for them in not being able to even qualify for top 12. And that would be very devastating for the region overall. So we'll have to see what happens here, because Purgatory is coming up next year, Husky. And, you know, this is such a flip-floppy map. You know, it could be a standard ending, or we could just get one of those very RNG water circles we have seen time and time again. Sometimes it's a coin flip. You're on the right side of the river, you're on the wrong side of the river, and if you're on the wrong side, GG.
Yeah, I don't know. It's I'm scared for the Indonesian teams, but you know, I can't wait to hop on a plane and go to Purgatory. So we'll head over to our pilot to send us into the air, and we'll be back in the game in a bit.
Bora decolar, Peu e Raja. Vamos direto para Purgatory, Yansu.
Yes, and we're moving on to Purgatory, our second map. So the first match for the Booyah, I was not gonna expect that to be really esports, but it was fun, right? Are you guys ready to sit down and enjoy our show for the next map?
Bora decolar porque os jogadores já estão posicionados, então aguenta coração. Pega sua pipoca, porque a decolagem foi autorizada!
We'll make it out alive.
Well, I think at this point, I hope everyone has a life vest, you know, because I kind of don't know what's going to be happening in this particular matchup. A life vest, an umbrella, a surfboard, whatever it is, hopefully that's going to be what it takes to get this Booyah for the teamers. Unfortunately, only one team out of our 11 teams in this group is going to be able to secure that Booyah. I want to know what this flight path is going to be. Is it going to be very generous? Is it going to be very, very southern side?
Wow.
Okay, that is a gross circle. And look at this. But Esports and SCCP landing together.
So the first Purgatory round we had last week was also like this. We get a southern flight path, and it really messes with teams that want to go north side. Twisted Minds, I'm looking at you. They love Woodhouse area, and now they gotta make that trip again. You see Corinthians and Hua Esports. Again, for Corinthians, they kind of missed out on the previous round. They did just enough to hang on, but they get another bad round. It's going to be a major setback for them. And wow, very generous with their utilities, right? Just straight up using that Blue Wall Melter. Not really sure if Corinthians have the adequate info to fight Hua, but they sure are getting chipped.
They're getting chipped. Maybe they're feeling pretty desperate, or maybe they're not feeling too good with their loot, Husky. Maybe that's where the desperation's going to be coming in here. Mala going to be going in for the 1v1. He will win though, but he also gets dropped at the same time. So it's a 1v1 here. The Corinthians and Hua Esports. Mala though does get brought back into the game, but he's not going to be there for the team. So the rest of the team is going to have to either hold the fort or make the decision to try and make a getaway happen. Bit of a 1v1 here up against Death. We do have a 2v2 now coming in as Nike comes in, but by us. Going to be the next one to go down. It's Death and Poppy tag teaming here as Nike Boy now deciding this is not a good idea, not a fight that he wants to engage into at all. But I'm not sure if he's going to be able to escape. He does find Yan Window in the back line. So Nando providing support for his teammate. Corinthians, they're still in this. They're not out of it. Hua Esports, they have to continue to respect this. You don't underestimate these early game skirmishes because everything can go south here.
Yeah, definitely. You can't do that. Right? At the start, I thought that, you know, Corinthians got kind of baited by the double up from Hua, but now they actually have the advantage. You see the collapse from the side. Poppy is just he survived because of that glue wall, but he's gonna run out of that pretty soon. So Corinthians can get the drop on him. It could really cripple Hua Esports in the early game. From the side, Nike Boy actually waiting with the Bison in hand before Poppy even swung for it. So 3 illims just like that, and Corinthians come out on top.
And you can see on the map as well, Hua is separating. They know they've completely lost this battle overall, so they might potentially lose another player on the roster, but Hua, you know, at the start, I thought Hua was supposed to win that fight, but it kind of feels like they maybe underestimated the potential of Corinthians in that early game skirmish, maybe thinking that they had won a little bit too soon. Now, speaking of winning, we do have another fight here happening between Evos and Retta. I don't know what it is about Retta. They seem to be very good at attracting a lot of attention.
After that round 1, I mean, you gotta be careful, right? Like, once you start going on a win streak, teams will start to look at you. Not that Evos knows, but see if they've done their homework, they might have a good idea that Retta is the team that they're facing off against. We know that from previous tournaments that Retta Esports, they don't really have a super distinct playstyle, but they do like to get messy if possible. And in this case, it's a way slower start. Arkukazu driving into WASK. It'd be deja vu if they don't get this right.
Oh, and Razor even runs right into Domin as well. Hits him with the vehicle, so gets a little bit of free damage in and gets the final shot as well. Domin gonna drop as RRQ secures another elimination point for themselves. And poor Leomon on that 3rd floor all by himself, being attacked by dudes. They have Razor rushing up to the top as well as Ma'al. This looks like it's going to be another point there as Ma'al, he does get dropped, but they will get the elimination and they should be able to pick up their teammates. So RRQ now up to 4 eliminations in game 2. Much better start than compared to game number 1.
This is what you want, right? Arkukazu with 5 points. Really got to make up for some of the losses that they suffered in that first round where they only got 1 point, and it's from an elimination. They got wiped out in 11th spot. So now with this full wipeout onto WASK, it is, I would say, almost guarantee a death sentence for WASK. That high chance because of this, they might not make it to top 12. So they haven't been able to make much progress in the previous round either, which is unfortunate because we have seen them in this position for for a couple of tournaments, and yet still this could be the same ending, just a different year.
Possibly. So RRQ going to go for a bit of a risky play here as they're going to send out dudes in the vehicle to see if they can maybe spot things out, spot for another team, maybe even scouting for their next drop point. He's going to be checking out some of the loot here to see if he can find anything juicy. And luckily for him, there is no teams nearby, so he's free to really pick up whatever he wants. And I think once they realize that there's no one here, They might even try and send the rest of the team to try and pick up some of that loot. Retta, in the meantime, though, running into Twisted Minds as they manage to snipe down Starming onto the ground, who's taken fall damage, and they get Exposy as well. So 2 for 0 for Retta.
Wow, so well done from Retta. They were well prepared for that rotation. Either by coincidence or
Underdog?
just...
Definitely an underdog.
Soon, I mean, if they keep this up, they could be going into point rush. Yeah, but whether it's coincidence or not, that was just unfortunate for Twisted Minds. Did get one revive, I think. Retta wants to push the envelope a bit more, actually. Taking the launch pad, kind of missing the jump a little bit, so forced to swim over. But since they did take care of 2 of the Twisted Minds members, it should be fine for them to just walk up.
And they might even continue to run into Twisted Minds as they're about to run into the same vicinity. Although, we do see that fated blue logo. Buriram could potentially run into the sights of Retta as well. And Husky, look at that disgusting circle. At the moment, we're looking at a 3-way river circle. It could go any way. But now we're going to be seeing a coin flip situation for some of these teams because you have to make the correct prediction. Do you pick the right shoreline?
I bet Retta must definitely started regretting making that rotation because now they have to go southwards with BRU on behind them. You got Twisted Minds that they got to deal with. And the team that's winning this is actually Corinthians because they have no one contesting them on the mainland. So Retta, they gotta somehow make it out of this. You can see them take the launch pad. They don't want to be involved in any of these fights. Minimize damage. They make it out of the line of sight of BRU. Give themselves some breathing room. This is literally the best case scenario for Retta.
I think the better case scenario for Retta would be to find a safe spot within that next circle and potentially gatekeep Buriram from coming in, right? I think that's going to be the ideal situation for Retta. We'll see if they can find that kind of opening in that next circle, but yeah, looks like Retta, they found a compound, they're going to bunker down and they're just going to wait. Safe play for the team. I do not blame them for trying to go for the safer play here. Now, we do have Twisted Minds in the distance over there. We do see 2 of the players sort of driving around in that vehicle, just trying to continue with the loot. They have their whole roster back up, but remember, folks, Twisted Minds, they did lose a couple players, so they are looking a little light in utilities.
And the only reason that Retta can make that move was because they did cripple Twisted Minds before that. Twisted Minds, they didn't want to be involved in any sort of a gunfight. That's why, even though they were in front of Retta, they had no business in trying to stop them. But the problem right now is that they are out in the blue zone and teams are shooting at them. Hawaii Esports also getting completely surrounded by EVOS. That's going to be basically close to a wipeout as Twisted Minds is just trying to play the survival game. This is so risky as they are going so far out. And in fact, not sure if Fluxo sees them. Probably not thanks to the structures, but this is it's going to take some time for Twisted Minds to recover.
I think Bops knows because I did see a couple of pot shots coming in from Fluxo towards Twisted Minds, and Bootson has been caught, and he's all alone as well. So there's going to be no way that they might be able to pick him up. I mean, Gio is here as well. MT7's coming in to provide support. It looks like there's no one there to finish him off. So Bootson, he will live for another day, but Husky, we're starting to run out of space. We have 40 players remaining in this lobby, 10 teams still alive. And the question on everyone's mind right now is, where is this next circle going to go? Is it going to go onto the mainland? Is it going to go onto one of the islands? Is it going to go dead center in the river? We're almost there. We're going to find out in just a second, but you can see everyone poised. They found a little spot. They're now just trying to figure out what's happening next.
Yeah, so Twisted Minds actually makes it into the circle, thankfully. And Fluxo had to make that move because someone else took down Bootson. It wasn't Twisted Minds, it was a separate team. So it affected their rotations a little bit. CLG trying to make it out of the blue zone. They do see Shin there, but unfortunately now CLG forced into a fight. Joker ends up going down to the play zone, didn't have time to heal back up. And this is the risk that you take, right, when you're out in the blue so late into the game. Like you either go down to the enemy team or you go down to the element. They're all going down to the play zone. Yeah. What is happening to CLG?
I have no idea what is going on. This is the third circle as well, so it's extremely painful for anyone that's out there. Twisted Minds are going to run into Fluxo here, and so far Twisted Minds not looking too good with several players on the ground. Woodson on the ground there for Fluxo. Diamond tries to go for the finish off, but it looks like he will pay with his own life as well. Twisted Minds are about to lose Sarming in the process too. This is just not their game today.
Not at all. Both rounds have been abysmal for Twisted Minds. I mean, round 1 was slightly better, but round 2, Fluxo's patience paid off. They do lose Butsins though, and I don't think they can... Oh, actually, they did bring back the vending machine, thankfully. They gotta speed up the process of trying to get him back, get him looted up. Maybe you collect the equipment and pass to him afterwards, because there really isn't much time to work with. Not with this kind of circle. There's still a chance we go to that bridge to end it all, but if that's the case, Fluxo will have a long journey ahead of them.
Fluxo have a long journey. I'm kind of looking at Hua Esports at the same time. Like, they are on the eastern side of that circle, which is pretty clear. So if this next circle ends up being a bit of a river circle, there's going to be a huge fight for all the teams on that western island on golf course, because there is so little room to work with. But we do have Fluxo here trying to pick up the rest of their team. We do have a launch pad being used by Bops. I think he's trying to decide where they want to go. But I fear for Bops, the moment he lands anywhere, he's going to be shot down by either Bigatron or Retta or RRQ, because there are 3 teams waiting for them.
Seems like they've already made the call.
Oh, boy.
They're actually aiming for the building, so they find respite for at least another minute for now. But they're sandwiched between 2 teams, and
jeez, that's
like EVOS might be happy with this, right? At least for now. They have a very good area to work with. They can gatekeep Hua, they can keep an eye out for RRQ, and also Corinthians, and they are in the safe zone. The only downside is that they're on the low ground, so it could be a bit of a problem once they had to start moving, but for now, they will be safe.
Gonna be safe, let everyone else sort of eat up the competition. We do see Bigatron flying in onto the number of players of Fluxo there, and they're gonna try and fight for the compound as well. Bigatron playing on the outside, whereas for Fluxo, they're gonna try and keep them blockaded with those blue walls, and so far we haven't seen any critical damage, no players going down as of yet, but they do eventually rush on in. Bigatron, they want this so bad, but Fluxo is just hoping they go away.
If you just want to lose on this one, it would be good for Fluxo, but Gio got caught with his back turn, and that's the opening for BTR. But all the blue walls being knocked down, Young through the door, shoots down Butsins. Koja just gets dropped. Should have time to bring it back out. The grenade stuck through, but not finding a takedown. Koja gets brought back up as the blue zone comes in. So Young goes for emergency revive before MT7 snipes him somehow through the crack of the glue wall. As Fluxo puts up a hell of a fight. MT7 point blank with the shot onto Koja too. Fluxo still in it.
Fluxo's still in it for now, but these guys, they are starting to play within that blue zone, Husky. It's the 4th blue zone as well, so things are going to be incredibly painful. Everyone here is on a timer. They are officially on a timer. If they do not leave this compound anytime soon, they're just going to lose their health to that blue zone. They won't be able to get there. They won't be able to make it into that next circle. I think it's curtains for them, but Fluxo, they still have Bops and MT7. They're going to try and rush on in, but they're about to run into RRQ. I don't think they've spotted them as of yet, though, but no, Bob gets spotted, he gets taken out, and that's going to be it for Fluxo out of the competition. Now we have a couple teams fighting towards that top section there. SCCP going up against EVOS. Can EVOS make it through this endgame, because they had a terrible start today?
Well, with the Red Pirate coming through, the doors go down, and EVOS ends up getting wiped out. Well, he did snipe Nike Boy from afar. EVOS unfortunately wouldn't make it past the Corinthians. So with RRQ, Kazu, BRU, and the Corinthians in this final circle. So far, BRU looking to be in, RRQ in fact looking in prime position to win this. We'll see who RRQ decides to go on first. They do see the Corinthians though, the drop down from afar. It seems the Corinthians are going to have a hard time.
I mean, I think Warrior and Corinthians are going to have a tough time, because RRQ are dead center in that circle. They're going to try and play gatekeeper at this point in time. Now the question is, does Warrior fight against Corinthians, or are they going to push into RRQ? They're trying to play with this boulder, but they're losing so many players behind this boulder. They thought the natural cover was going to be enough, but the fact that there were just too many grenades, RRQ even rushing in to finish off Warrior, and now it's going to be a final battle here. Husky, RRQ versus Corinthians.
And they're gonna get it! RRQ Kazu making a hell of a recovery in this round number 2. Wow. Just talk about them dropping the ball in game 1 and game 2. They came back with 15 big eliminations, probably more than that before the round ended. With the best possible ending, right? We say that they had the best chance of winning the round. They had to control the circle, but also the grenade launcher was the biggest difference maker. BRU could not escape by hiding behind the boulder. They all got blown up, and Corinthians, they were crippled to begin with, so they were easy pickings for RRQ at the end.
You know, it's kind of funny because we saw in that end game, RRQ played in a way that it was something we were talking about earlier, right? This team is known for being very passive, letting everyone else do the job for them, but they were the ones to be in the driver's seat. 0-0 here for RRQ. Let's see what they have to say in our post-match.
Maravilha! Buiazão da Indonésia aqui nas mãos da RRQ Kazoo. Vamos trocar uma ideia com o CPT do time, o Abai? Please go ahead.
Thank you, Carol. So finally, we can see Indonesia got a booyah, and I'm really happy for that as a C region host. So moving back to our interview today, Abai, so I had a little questions for you. So last week is not a good week for RQ, right? So can I ask, like, can you guys share with us and the audience, like, what happened to RQ?
Oke, kan kita sama-sama tahu di minggu kemarin RRQ kurang baik lah. Nah, apa yang terjadi sama RRQ?
Paling ya cuma ada kesalahan mistake dikit.
Ya, just a little bit. We have a little bit mistakes. Yeah.
Hey, perfect. A primeira pergunta de Yusu foi baseada no que aconteceu com eles na semana passada. Apesar deles terem garantido um buia, eles não foram tão bem e o jogador, o Abai, respondeu que é porque eles tiveram alguns erros, né? Sem muitas explicações. Okay, so based on your performance from last year in Free Fire World Series 2023, they finished, RQ finished in the 4th place of the overall standings. And we saw great action coming from RRQ, and I would like to know how he compares last year and this year for the team.
Oke, so di tahun kemarin kan RRQ juga di FFWS cukup baik nih hasilnya di ST keempat. Nah, apa perbedaan dari tahun kemarin sama tahun ini?
Perbedaannya cuma beda roster doang.
Yeah, just only a different roster. Currently because we have Maal, a new player from RRQ.
Oh, replacement full.
Yeah.
Ok. Perguntei pra ele, porque assim, no ano passado, quem assistiu aí o Mundial de Free Fire sabe que a RRQ terminou em 4º lugar na nossa tabela de classificação geral, na final, tá bom? Então, a gente não tá muito acostumado a ver esse tipo de desenvolvimento aqui da RRQ Kazoo, não. E aí eu perguntei o que aconteceu e como é que ele compara o ano passado com esse ano. Ele falou assim que, de fato, teve uma mudança aí do time, né? Um dos jogadores saiu, eles estão com um jogador novo, estão tentando essa adaptação. What else can we expect from RRQ Kazoo for the rest of the day?
Oke. Apa ekspektasi lo dari RRQ Kazoo untuk tim yang lain?
Kasih kill aja ke kita.
Give more kill to us.
Ok, good. Pra finalizar, eu perguntei o que mais que a gente pode esperar da RRQ Kazoo pro resto do dia. Ele falou, espera aí muita kill. Então vamos ver os melhores momentos agora e esperar também que a RRQ Kazoo consiga aí o que eles tanto desejam.
So, congratulations, RQ and Abai. I think this booyah is a relief for you guys, right? Like, we are no stress anymore. Then, this is the end of our interview, and thank you so much for watching and enjoy it. Now, let's head back to Augusta and watch the highlights.
Bye.
Okay, RRQ, you don't ask for people to give you eliminations. You gotta go and grab them yourself. Just like that matchup. We said this when we started the game number 2. If you play passive, you give your opponents that opening to take control of that game. If they keep playing their matches like this today, Husky, I think RRQ can redeem themselves. They just gotta make sure they don't fall into that passive mindset that they've been sort of trapped in for the past couple months, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, RQ has been, it has always been a hot and cold team, right? Like, sometimes you really don't know which RQ you are going to get. You either get an RQ that is just completely bulldozing everyone, 4 or 5 booyahs in a single day, or you get an RQ Kazoo that is just not winning any fights. In this case, we're getting both sides of the coin. At least in Game 2, they got dealt all of the cards that they need. They got great circles to work with. They made the right rotations, and it actually, the flight path itself is already beneficial to RQ because they like to take the the bottom half of the map, and the fact that the circle went there gave them so much of an advantage to work with. And of course, the grenade launchers helped out at the end as well. Now is to see if RRQ can keep this going, because every time we say, okay, RRQ got a big round, they dropped the ball next. I want to see them continue this consistently before I, pass any judgment.
Pass any judgment, maybe pass out as a potential fan, because sometimes being a fan for RRQ is it's a job, Husky. I'm saying this with experience. I've been following this team for such a long time, and as a fan, they make you feel all kind of things. I think an emotional roller coaster is probably the best way to describe what it's like being an RRQ fan. But RRQ, they're good. Okay, literal zero to hero story for this team in the span of 2 games. They still have 4 more games to go though, so we'll see if they're going to be able to continue with this upwards trajectory, guarantee that top 12, because that is the ultimate goal for this team. Top 12, get in there and stay there, because you can't rest on your laurels now. This is the final play week for these teams to grab their points, and you're not the only team looking for points. Everyone competing in these 3 groups are looking to farm those points.
I think RRQ Kazu, I have faith that they can definitely make top 12. I'm not sure how high in the leaderboard they can go by the end of knockouts, but I don't think that they would be so poor until they don't make it to point rush, right? I think that's the bare minimum that RRQ Kazu can give us. I'm more worried that after this, because I'm ready to look past the knockout stage and look at RRQ in that grand finals and how far they would go. They did finish 4th last year, but this year with a slightly different team and the competition getting more heated, I think it's definitely tougher for RRQ to kind of repeat that performance, judging by what we've seen.
Yeah. So as we get ready for our upcoming matchup, we are going to go for a very quick commercial break. But don't go anywhere, because we're going into game number 3 in just a moment. But very quick word from our sponsors.
Kaspersky's now in Free Fire. Get Kaspersky Plus and score an exclusive skin. With the most powerful antivirus, plus tools like unlimited VPN, gamer mode, and a password manager, you'll secure that booyah in style. Don't sleep on this. Keep your devices safe and play safe with Kaspersky.
Stay safe with Kaspersky, guys. If you haven't got any kind of antivirus, definitely recommend them. And you get a Free Fire skin at the same time. So I think it's a great 2-in-1 deal, Husky.
Yeah, of course. I remember been using that. I first heard Kaspersky like when I was really young, because my dad used to do computer stuff, right? So that has been my entire childhood, up until today.
Like one of the OG antivirus programs. Yeah.
For sure, right? So one of the OGs, one of the best as well. Here we have the Corinthians so far. And impressively at the very top with the most points today, despite not getting a single booyah. You got RRQ Kazu redeeming themselves in game 2. BTR also doing fantastic in 3rd place. Reda, BRU. I mean, so far these first 2 rounds have been quite an eye opener, right? Especially for Reda Esports and Corinthians. Reda Esports more so, considering that they have been struggling a little bit. And you can look at the overall leaderboard, right? The teams that are grayed out they're not eliminated, they're just not playing today. So if Reda can keep up this performance, they can guarantee that they remain in top 12 by the end of today, because Pain will not be able to do anything.
Yeah. Now, speaking of top 12, I think would you say, Husky, we're kind of paying attention to the teams towards the bottom end of the bracket? Like the middle to the bottom seems super unsafe. Like the gap between these teams is a mere 10 points? Which is an average game for some of these teams. So anything can happen. Anyone can potentially lose their spot. And I think anyone is at risk of being eliminated at this point, because we played 2 games, but those are 2 games worth of points.
Yeah, just to put it into perspective, I think the gap between Corinthians and Pain Gaming, AAA and Pain Gaming, right? From 5th to 12th, can be wiped out with just 1 good round. That's how close the standings are at this point in time. Of course,
and a donut for the other team.
That too. But even so, I think it takes 1 or 2 good rounds to kind of even out the scores. I think right now, because Pain Gaming isn't playing today, teams in top 12, especially Reda, Hua, RQ Kazu, they gotta take advantage of the remaining 4 rounds and get as much points as possible to create that cushion for them. So because you don't want to be in a position where you run out of rounds and then you can't play and then you get overtaken by everyone else.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna have to see how things go, but it looks like we do have a very quick video to show you guys. Time for our team to take the spotlight here, Husky, because we are about to fly in to Alpine for map number 3.
That's gonna be interesting because Alpine, literally the best map for BRU. BRU's best performing map. When we look back at the 4th season, they are so good at the map. They have more than 100-point lead when we compare them to the team in 2nd place in Southeast Asia. But at least for right now, WAG is the one that is completely crushing it in Alpine, and I'm pretty sure BRU they're not happy about that. So tap in and get ready for Alpine.
Vambora, Peu e Raja, bora pro nosso próximo mapa, que será Alpine, Yunsu.
Yes, and our third map will be Alpine. We are in half of the game today, and the intensifier is still there, the fire is still everywhere, and I can feel the heat is really hot right now in here. So, are you guys ready for me and Camilota to take off with you guys?
Exato, vamos decolar porque os jogadores já estão posicionados, então aguenta coração, porque a decolagem foi autorizada! Vai Brasil!
Yeah, got the winter coat on. If you don't have that yet, better go shop for one not to get chilly. We dropped it to Alpine. WAG not playing today, so means that BRU is our next best team on the map, and they surely are gonna look to maintaining that.
Either maintain or just preserve themselves, because they have had pretty tough games. I think we were sort of expecting them to sort of blow everyone out of the water, especially with last week's performance, but they seem to either come out very slow from the gate in this grouping. I'm not sure if this is intentional. Okay, we don't have internal information on how they play this game, but as we fly on in, we do see WK and EVOS flying into Forest Red together, although it looks like EVOS is going to be abandoning ship and giving this away to WK, although we do have Kyung from Bigatron maybe sneaking his nose in to see if maybe he can get a little free kill in there as well. But aside from that, it looks like that is really the only potential hot drop / fighting situation that we could be seeing in any moment now, as Big Boss, first one to go down thanks to ABAX.
Very, very crowded Forest Red. Forest Red start. Oh boy. Few day. So for WSK again, we say that there's a almost guaranteed chance that they're not going to make it to play-ins, but or to point rush, but still there's still opportunities for them to make a difference, to kind of influence the leaderboard. You know, it's tough for them to get into top 12. They need almost 70 points, which is achievable for sure, but the stars have to align, and right now surrounded by EVOS and also BTR, it's highly unlikely for them to make it out of this.
Well, we'll have to see if they can make it on out. Sometimes miracles do happen here. It's just the question is who's going to be the next person to fall. EVOS is very spread out in this fight, and if anything happens right now, they could be in a lot of trouble, but they are slowly looking to regroup. WASK, though, they are also separated as Mr. Ali has been spotted by Bigatron, and he's going to be the first one to go down there for WK. And now the team is going to be down a player. We do see a little bit of damage being thrown down onto Aim God there in the distance, but just to half health. Still very, very healthy. But Forest Red, I'm surprised this place is still as crowded as it is.
It's pretty surprising that so many teams like to drop Forest Red, or at least in this round. Used to be a hot spot, but I think teams start to recognize that you don't necessarily need to be there. When you look back at the Malaysian region, like Expand loves Forest Red. Like BRU at one point loves Forest Red, and then now they just take Snowfall, right? Like all the locations that they take are uncontested. And speaking of BRU with Snowfall, they're actually coming inwards towards Forest Red, and EVOS now have a good chance of gatekeeping them because I don't think BRU knows.
I mean, they see
They don't.
BRU.
I think BRU does not know this. They have no idea.
Okay, but the thing is, does EVOS have the cojones to even attempt this? It's so early on. Like I think in an ideal situation, this team is just not well equipped to deal with a full lineup like this. So I think just avoiding the battle, much better decision than trying to go for that rush there.
I love this. I like the decision that EVOS made. Clearly, BRU unaware of their presence, but EVOS, because they are spread out, Aim God actually is going to reveal his presence, and this could trigger a bit of a response from BRU to try and take some shots at G'day. So G'day needs to get out of this, right? He has Aim God with him. This could backfire horribly, though. The fact that the scouts let BRU through, if EVOS loses any members to BRU, it's going to be a disaster. So they have to hightail out of there.
They do hightail it out of there, Huskies. So EVOS live for another day, and we're around maybe a little bit sad that they couldn't pick up that elimination there. But Hua Esports, 2 eliminations for the round, starting out very, very strong there, picking up those points. So we are seeing a little bit of action elsewhere, although hell no, we saw another team just crossing past there with Boiram. Now, we do have Corinthians running into RRQ, and we're only seeing 3 of their players here, and Twisted Minds is also within the vicinity, so we could be seeing a 3-way battle here, a 3-way sandwich, and with the way the Corinthians are moving, they might be in the middle of the sandwich.
I just one.
I found Razor.
Razor.
Oh!
He somehow makes it through. Okay, just glided far enough. You can see Moshi actually finding an elimination of Hua Esports off screen, but of course the Corinthians, they not only have to deal with RRQ Kazu, they gotta deal with the Twisted Minds also, who has so far not been having the best of rounds. Twisted Minds finding initial knock. Gonna secure that one.
They're about to run into them, so literally going to be 2 ships passing each other in the night, maybe unknowingly, that not knowing that they are just so close to one another. As Boiram continue to scout around to see if they can find any food, any points, anything, because they have had 2 really quiet games today. As, hang on a minute, was Sana gonna be caught by Mr. Ali?
Even on the other end, seems like RRQ Kazu now turns their attention to Twisted Minds.
This looks like a trap, Husky. Look at the positioning there for RRQ.
This will end in a team wipe for sure, right? I don't see any opportunities for a revive.
Oh, the bait.
Maldus have a good corner though. Can't get the shot in, and in fact, Jun ends up going down. This is not the start that RQ Kazu wants, and the worst part is that now they have to just split up and cut the losses. Twisted Minds have figured them out. See if Razor can make an outplay. He's in between the boulders, shows himself with a double up from Thanos and Diamond. Just too strong. Ma'a tries to help out, but he ends up going down. Good coverage from Twisted Minds, and they end up coming out on top.
That looked like it should have gone in favor of RRQ, but I think the unfortunate reality was Ma'al and Abe. They couldn't get the snipes that they wanted, and because of that, their players in the front lines got overrun by a full roster, and they're the ones to be cleaned up. And now Twisted Minds sitting on top with 6 eliminations here, Husky, for our Alpine matchup.
What did we say just now, Danny? It's like a box of chocolates, you know? You don't know what RQ you'll get. We got both sides of the coin, and it seems like we're back to square one.
I feel like I just played a gacha machine and I kind of pulled the dupe, so not feeling too good here, Husky.
Didn't win the pity for sure.
Definitely. All right, so we're going to be getting a bit of a top left-hand circle here, close towards Militia, Snowfall, and Forest Red. So teams that are playing towards the right-hand side, they're going to have to start making their way. Same thing with our southern teams. But Corinthians, I kind of feel like they have a pretty good advantage for this circle because they don't have to worry about dealing with teams coming in from that top left. It's mostly going to be Retta who's flying in from that right-hand side.
Fuck, I gotta start moving. Let's see if he can. I mean, for Fluxo, they have been playing slow the entire knockout stage. Let's see if they can kind of take advantage of this, right? Because they are uncontested for now, and they should be able to make it kind of true into the circle. Mr. Ali not that lucky though. Wasana, what a snipe from afar. Red Tyrant coming through from Big Boss, and the response from BRU is to keep on fighting.
Look, you gotta keep Buriram at bay. They have no idea they're shooting at Buriram. They're pretty sure if they knew, they probably just want a battleship at this point. So we do have the launch pad there for Buriram, so they do cross that river. So this gap between WK and Buriram is slowly closing, and you can even tell the team, after seeing that launch pad, they want to have none of this. Abandoning ship, trying to run up the hill, whereas over here we see Bigatron fighting into EVOS, and they do get rid of Bara, and Aim God is on the ground as well. EVOS, another round where this team is crippled.
BTR 4 points so far, very solid start, and in fact uncontested. This will have a pretty good, comfortable spot to work with at Militia. Not have to worry too much. CLG will have to contend with BRU. We're on a warpath right now. BRU again, one of the best teams on Alpine. If they start cleaning teams up, you know it's gonna be a big round for them.
Oh boy, CLG. I hope they're prepared for this because this is about to be a very dangerous fight. Same thing here with WK as we do see a couple of snipes coming through as well. WASK wanting to leave. Leomon waiting for the launch pad. He will be able to use it. And Boriram, they get the snipes up there onto Leon. So he's going to be hitting the ground in just a second. We do see a couple of buybacks there from EVOS on the other side of the map. So they do manage to make that recovery happen. But we are so late into the game that any buybacks now, you're going to be able to have the numbers advantage, but when it comes to that loot, you will not have the guns, the items, the utilities that you're looking for. We have Doman on the ground as Retta take over this compound. I have to say, Husky, you know, we didn't see a lot of Retta in this particular matchup, but this team has really woken up today.
Yeah, they're somehow able to maintain a consistent performance. They're not winning rounds, but they're getting enough points to keep themselves at the top, at least in the conversation with one of the top teams. This circle is going to be Deadly, Loretta, and BTR in the middle. You got BRU who's going to be coming in from the southern side pretty soon. Once they get past WASK, Twisted Minds, a clear entry from the east, save for Fluxo from the southeastern side. This is progressing slower than I thought it would. A lot of these teams are so far away from the safe zone, but I do wonder if Retta and BTR will start fighting before we get to the end zone, that end game.
I think they're going to have to start fighting now, Husky, because everyone's running out of real estate. And I think one of the first fights we're going to be seeing is that matchup for Hua against Buriram in the bottom left-hand corner, because Hua, they're stuck on the island. They're in that blue zone, and they have to figure out a way to get in past Buriram. We do see SCCP fighting up against EVOS in the distance, and we are seeing EVOS, unfortunately, being the ones to lose in that particular matchup, but it seems like things have sort of settled down for these two teams, as we only saw one player killed on that kill feed. And Buriram gonna start continuing to make their way into that next circle as the fight continues here. Now Avac's in the front lines, but he's in the middle of an entire roster of players. And unfortunately for Corinthians, they lost one of their players, so they're now down to 3. And we are about to hit our 4th circle.
Very fortunate that the Corinthians had to give up one of the players. Ideally, you want to have the whole team, but still, right? They're still in it to win it. Revive comes through.
They have
just
no
for the
idea.
numbers. This is going to be insane. They actually threw in a grenade that chipped away the health bar of BRU members. So Get High needs time to recover. Put Red Tyrant to break down the blue wall. And then Jonah instantly goes in for the rush. Yanbin covers his teammate. David makes it out alive. And what good coverage from Hua Esports to turn it around, and now they're gonna get through Jonah and Wasana. The army retired from afar to bring down the blue wall. Shin picks back up the horizon line, gets him back into action as Steph takes out Wasana. Moshi is just doing his best from afar. Steph from afar. Jonah goes down. It's
Triple.
Moshi
No one's
up
checking
against
Moshi.
Shin. Steph is going to be picked back up. It will be a 1v2, but man, Hua Esports played that the best they could, and now they have the upper hand.
Ooh. Death, he actually got knocked down by the blue zone, so he's going to be picked up on the ground. That fight should have gone in favor of Hua. The only unfortunate thing was that nobody was checking Moshi, so he was able to just get these free snipes in the distance. Finds a launch pad, going to be able to zoom his way into that circle and be the one to maybe potentially gatekeep Hua himself, as he does know that where the Hua members are. He's going to go for the recovery. And look, I hope Hua have something up their sleeve, because trying to get into the blue zone with a Moshi watching your every move, very, very likely chance that this man is going to be able to snipe both players before they even have that chance. We do have Retta sitting within a nice compound in that circle next to Bigatron. So they are playing gatekeeper mode. Anyone that they see, just shoot anything that moves, grab those points, because their placement points so far are looking pretty good. And CLG might be their next target here as they're moving right next to their compound.
But Hua Esports, they played that so well. They didn't get the wipeout, sure, but they definitely stopped BRU from having a chance of getting the Booyah unless a miracle happens. The Moshi had to deal with CLG, and even the great Moshi will not survive against 4 gun barrels pointed at him. BRU out in a spot, all thanks to Hua Esports, who somehow now have to deal with Retta. Only 2 members left alive, and Retta not only have to worry about
Twisted
Hua,
Minds.
they gotta worry about Twisted Minds, BTR, CLG. They are literally sandwiched in the middle.
These teams fighting to get control of these compounds. First player to go down on the side of Bigatron is Young, picked up by Xposey. We have Nameless shooting from the outside, but we have some blue balls being deployed, so those windows are being covered. Icaldo coming in from the sideline gets immediately picked off from the team, and Twisted Minds, it looks like they should be able to take this compound absolutely for free. They have their full roster, they're almost at full health, they have plenty of utilities to work with, and for Bigatron, they are almost out of gas.
Not gonna be easy for Bigatron, not when they're losing so many members, right? Saming and Nameless, they're just picking them off, so BTR isn't standing much of a chance, being wiped out. Twisted Minds finally coming alive in round number 3 with 12 eliminations so far. Seems like they are well equipped to go for the win, and actually in a pretty open spot as well, right? Really uncontested unless Corinthians has something to say about it. Checking on them in a little bit, in fact, Opex XL actually shows up, so Twisted Minds have to deal with Retta and Fluxo shooting at them from afar.
Foxy shooting from afar, there's no one to contest them as well, so they're basically free to shoot whoever they please and maybe even steal some of those E-limbs. We do see some of those blue wall melters being thrown by either side as Shin gonna try and put himself into Retta. What a brave play coming in, but he wasn't immediately sniped out, but he will go down to Carlos at the end of the day. Retta so far successfully being able to defend their compound, and even a massive heal coming in for the team as well. Retta back up to full, but the issue now is that they have a blue wall blocking their window and a blue zone that's pushing them out to that second compound, and it looks like we're going to be seeing Fluxo eliminating Retta there, the entire team getting caught by that blue zone. And look at this Fluxo coming out of nowhere, causing so many issues for these teams that were in the circle for so long.
Yeah, Fluxo having a pretty good chance as well, right? It's them and Twisted Minds that are the most equipped for this final fight, so they turn their attention over to Twisted Minds. Very start that retire rhythm is going to force Fluxo to move on forward. There's only one way that Fluxo can go, and
they're
it's
advancing
towards Twisted Minds. One of the players is incredibly low. He needs time to get back up, but the utilities are too much. Twisted Minds, well prepared, Riptide Rhythm, blue wall melters, everything thrown at Fluxo, and suddenly they find themselves exposed in the open, and Fluxo no longer a problem for Twisted Minds. 15 eliminations, CLG and Retta, the only 2 remaining teams in front of Twisted Minds, but it's time for them to make up for the losses that they suffered in the first 2 rounds. Retta gets wiped out, Twisted Minds against CLG. With Twisted Minds having the man advantage, this looks like a booyah for them.
Looks like a booyah, and it looks like CLG might be out of utilities because they are playing behind only 2 blue walls. We're not seeing any more there, Husky. That game, that end game, a flawless ending for Twisted Minds, who unfortunately had a little bit of a slow start today, but they surely made that comeback happen, especially with all of the eliminations that they were able to farm up in this game number 3. Twisted Minds, maybe they didn't have the best start to the day, but look, they're back, they're awake, and they're getting those points.
This is the first team, or the team that secured the very first ticket to EWC back at the Mobile Masters, right? That time we had it in Sao Paulo, so it's the second trip to Brazil. We've seen what they can do when they're at their best. I've talked so much about this Diamond Nameless, this electrotherapy, this duo that looks so unstoppable. This is them in full action. Let's have a surprise about that Booyah in 3.
Booyahzão tailandês acontecendo por aqui, mas dessa vez nas mãos da Twisted Minds. Vamos trocar uma ideia aqui agora com o Exposed, que ele vai conversar um pouquinho com a gente, porque já faz um tempinho que a gente não vê um Booyah vindo aí da Twisted Minds. Yusuf?
Hello everyone, so Exposing, since we are in our first day of the second week from knockout stage already, and it's also our last week, so right now, are you guys hiding your tactics, or you play like completely for real? Because I feel like the first one and the second match is not that concentrate, you know?
เขาถามว่าตอนนี้เรายังมีแผนอะไรที่เรายังซ่อนเอาไว้อยู่ไหมเพราะว่าเหมือนช่วงแรกๆเหมือนกับว่ายังตั้งสติกันไม่ได้มีอะไรจะโชว์อีกไหม
ก็ไม่มีอะไรครับรอบนี้อยากเล่นชิวๆไปก่อนครับ
we have nothing to hide. We just want to play chill and try to collect points as much as possible.
Hey, good. Primeira pergunta da Yusuf foi, já que esse é o último final de semana da fase classificatória, quero saber se vocês estão escondendo alguma coisa ou se vocês estão jogando de verdade, é o que vocês vão fazer daqui pra frente até a final. E ele falou assim que não tem nenhuma estratégia, na verdade eles só estão jogando, seguindo aí o flow, entendeu? Então, eles estão fazendo o melhor jogo deles que eles podem. Okay, if you could choose 3 teams to not advance to the next phase, who would be?
ถ้าคิดว่า3ทีมที่จะไม่ได้เข้ารอบไฟนอลมีทีมอะไร
Yes.
WASK ครับแล้วก็ EVO แล้วก็ CLG ครับ
WASK Vats from MENA and EVO Divine from Indonesia อันที่ภาษาอะไรนะ
CLG ข้างหน้าเลยพี่
CLG
Okay, so WAG?
WASK. WASK.
Oh,
WASK.
Ok. Tá, eu perguntei pra ele se ele pudesse escolher 3 times que não fossem, pra não avançar pra próxima fase, quais seriam? O ASK, CLG e Evils?
Yeah, Evils.
Ok, então ele escolheu aí esses 3 times que ele não quer ver avançando para a próxima fase. Vamos de melhores momentos, minha família, porque por aqui os tailandeses estão até então felizes.
Exposing, I think you just start a war with someone. Thank you so much for watching our interview, and this is the end of us and Exposing from Twisted Mind. Congratulations on having their Booyah. And now let's head back to our caster and watch the highlights.
Woof! Wow, good defense by Yunsu. You know, it's not WAG for sure. They're doing mighty fine. They're still in 3rd place, so not any chance that they will not make it to point rush. But yes, WASK, EVOS, Divine, and CLG on the list of Exposing. Oh boy, Indonesian fans will not be happy hearing about EVOS Divine.
Smack talk can make things a bit better for some teams, although everyone reacts differently. There are some teams that do not like smack talk, some others that do love it, but I think I kind of share this sentiment where I'm really worried for the Indonesian teams. I am so worried for this region. Like, I think we're used to seeing everybody, all Indonesian teams qualify for top 12, and now we're at risk of having one.
Yeah,
and it is actually scary.
The craziest thing was that, so again, right, we like last year at FFWS, we had RQ Kazu finish 4th place. Recently at EWC, EVOS Divine came within 10 points, single-digit points of winning the trophy, but they fell short to Team Falcons, right? They finished 2nd place. And right now, there's a chance that Evo might not even make it past the knockout stage. It's such a crazy development, which is all happening in less than 6 months, right? Like we finished Esports World Cup in July for Free Fire, so you could definitely see the difference, like the shift in meta and how teams have really been adapting. Of course, you gotta give props to Saming, one of the premier sniper players from Thailand in this team. This ongoing joke that he and Wasana were on the same team before he went to Reverse Red and then Twisted Minds, and then Wasana went to BRU, and he was the first one that got a trophy before Wasana did. But here he is, right, with just an amazing sniper performance.
I don't think Twisted Minds is out of the woods yet, right? Because, you know, Husky, you and I, we've sort of kept up with the scene in Southeast Asia, and as much as we love Twisted Minds on their good days, this team has far too many bad days for anyone to feel confident that they're going to be able to win any major titles. Like, yeah, Twisted Minds, will they make it to top 12? Like, I think at this point, 100%. I think they should make it to top 12. If they didn't, that would be more shocking. But here's the thing. Is Twisted Minds capable of winning the world title? Because of how hot and cold they are, I just don't see that happening. I hate to be the bad guy, but I'm being very realistic here. I don't think anyone expects Twisted Minds to actually win the tournament this year.
Yeah, I can get behind that. I can definitely agree with it. I think BRU is still the team to beat in any situation, right? Like no team has ever come close to being as consistent as them. And sure, BRU, like they went 1 year without winning a single trophy. You know, they didn't win EWC, they didn't win FFWS. But if you want to talk about the most consistent team, it is still BRU, and that's how good they are. But I would say consistency is definitely a theme for the Corinthians as well, right? They're 44 points. No, Reda also not doing too bad. CLG as well. Like
booyahs, Husky. Like the fact that Corinthians are at the top and they haven't gotten a booyah today. Like what the heck?
Corinthians are like the OG world champions when the first World Series was like held in Brazil. Of course, this is a way different lineup, but man, the fact that Corinthians are really stepping up, you know, it gives us maybe they are the second dark horses. Who knows, right? Maybe it's them and Reda.
I actually think they are potentially a really good candidate for a dark horse, especially with the level of consistency that they're showing. I think, if anything, consistency during a play day is a really good sign for a team. And, you know, like, as you said just now, Reta, Corinthians, they are showing us that they have that level of consistency, and this is during the elimination stage of the tournament. This is not top 12. So if they can keep things going, I 100% see these teams probably being some of the biggest threats going into our finals matchup. Now, we have to prep for game number 4 here, Husky, and it is our favorite map out of the lot. It is Kalahari. I really want to see who's going to be able to win this matchup, because I feel like out of all the maps, Kalahari is probably one of the perfect challenges that really tests your ability as a team, because historically speaking, generally only the top performing teams in a group generally takes the booyah home on this particular map. So I think it would be quite shocking, but if Reta or Corinthians can take a booyah on this particular map, I think that solidifies their position as a potential top team in the top 12.
Yeah, I think for, I don't know, I feel like it's definitely doable. Though when it comes to Kalahari, I'm always looking at how the teams adapt to it, right? Like how the teams kind of play around on a map that requires that instant decision making, right? Where you don't have much cover to work with. How are you going to play when teams like RQ Kazu, who are notorious for going into refinery and start spreading out and you have no idea where to go? And I think in this case, it's all about controlling area. We want to see if the teams can step into it. Well, with that being said, we're gonna get our windbreakers ready because it's time to hop on the plane and head to Kalahari.
Bora voar pra Kalahari, Ansu, ansiosa.
Yes, and now fourth game now will be Kalahari. It was very fun for us to watch and see all the players struggle, having fun, but also trying their best to get a ticket to the finals. We are now getting ready to take off.
Bora decolar porque os jogadores já estão posicionados, então aguenta coração, porque a decolagem foi autorizada!
Now, very generous flight path from left to right, and looks like RRQ, they're going to be taking Refinery. This is the signature spot for this team. They almost always drop into Refinery, although last week I do recall RRQ actually dodging Refinery, worried about being hot dropped, and when they did that, they actually lost. I think they came in like last place in that particular map.
Yeah. Sometimes it feels like a hit and miss, because Refinery is such a big compound. Oh boy, you don't have moonwalking mid-air. That looks pretty cool.
It was pretty cool.
It was pretty cool. But yeah, teams, like you take Refinery, and it used to be teams taking that area and they just stay there. But the circle a lot of times don't form in the center, so it kind of feels like a big risk. You have to move anyways. So what RQ did was that they would take Refinery, they will loot up the higher floors, and then they'll start spreading out, usually towards the west side. They take all those higher platforms and see if they can get a pick off. If not, they will just go back into Refinery, depending on where the circle goes. But I would say success, it keeps them in the game, but it doesn't get them the lead, you know, like it just keeps you safe.
Yeah, I think I agree. Like, there was a style that I loved to see from this team back in the day. Like you said, they would take Refinery, they would loot, but then they would go hunting after they looted. Like, they would actually start assassinating teams that tried to go anywhere near Refinery. They were actively looking for those kills. Now, I'm kind of wondering if that's going to be the style of play we see on this map today, because I said this before and I'm going to say it again. If this team falls back to that very passive defensive style, I just don't see them being able to last in this particular matchup. But let's switch on over to CLG. Here we do see Joker taking a little bit of damage there, I do believe, by Hua Esports, and that was from Death, who finishes him off. So CLG already down a player, a couple of pot shots going to be thrown out, but nothing too lethal. And actually CLG not going to be too happy about that, as they do drop Shin, but it's going to be coming at the cost of FAQ7. His teammates nearby though, so they should be able to get that pick up as he is hiding in that compound. But CLG, they have to make a decision because they're fighting against Hua. Do you commit or do you abandon?
When it comes to Kalahari, when you start a fight, a lot of times you will be forced to end it because it's just so hard to run away. You know, given the layout of the map. Kalahari's gonna try. Actually gets a snipe on the Shin somehow, helping his team out. They're still outnumbered though, so this is not an easy fight for CLG, but again, they have to try and fight until the very end. In fact, they got a knockout, they force a revive, and the Hua Esports continues to try and challenge CLG, but they're starting to suffer losses, so you can see that Hua Esports, they're gonna slow down a little bit. DTR shows up, and that is the time for CLG to just leave.
And for Hua, they are probably in panic mode, seeing a team flying out of nowhere. They do manage to drop Kyong, but it did come at the cost of Poppy. And Bigatron pushing into Hua. With only 2 players here, they have to get somebody out. They're going to have to use somebody as bait. We do see Ekal sniping from the distance, and Death on that high ground. As much as he would love to be safe up here, he has to try and fight into Deeks all by himself. He's about to be rushed. They do go for the juke on that low ground. Connections are just not there for Death. Yeah, they do drop Deeks, but without anyone to finish him off, it was all for naught. And we do see one player from Hua hiding. Do not move. Be one with the environment.
Did get the revive. So Hua Esports, at least they have more than one member on the map. But again, complete disaster. They through the extended fight against CLG, and CLG got out, found a full team back. BTR, of course, with the final laugh, getting at least 2-3 points off of that. The CLG breathing a sigh of relief, only having to spend points for 1 revive despite everything that has happened.
It's a pretty big win for the team, to be honest. They dodged a bullet by choosing not to fight into Hua and just leaving when Bigatron came in. So nice knight in shining armor coming in to save them today. Although now they have to deal with their next opponent, which is going to be EVOS. And they have been spotted by Aim God and Co. So EVOS repositioning themselves. I think they're also trying to calculate whether this fight is even worth taking. And at the moment, it looks like they're retreating, so maybe just not feeling too confident about whoever appeared just now in this area. Yeah, I think EVOS, I kind of wonder if this team is a little bit spooked, considering that they just haven't been able to pick up as many kills as they would have liked to today.
I think it could be, right? Like, you've been losing most of the fights. Speaking of losing fights, Corinthians just got completely wiped out. Thankfully, they still got 1 guy left alive, so that's the mass revive. But I agree. I think for EVOS, they just realized that they're not winning most of the fights that they thought they would. So time to slow things down a little bit. It also could be some teams just not comfortable playing on Kalahari, right? They absolutely hate this map. And if that's the case for EVOS also, they would probably take it slower than usual. In fact, you can see based off of observations, teams that are not comfortable on Kalahari usually show very, very obvious signs of struggling in these mid-game rotations.
I don't envy Yanbin one bit. This man was already uncomfortable just hiding in that area by himself. He was spotted by Bigatron as they do sort of flew over his head, and they do take down Yanbin thanks to Kyung, who gets the final shot there as well. Shin is still around, but unfortunately I think he has been spotted, as like you can see. Kyung, he's there, he wants to finish the job, but it's going to be Ekal to get the knock and Ekal to also get the finish. So another 2 elimination points going in the way of Bigatron for this Kalahari matchup.
It's hard to really, ignore Bigatron right now, because even in the fall season when they debuted, like this Orcs kind of made it to fall season, their first regional event, and people were wondering how is Bigatron going to fare, right? You have Ekal, which is like from Thorat, and he had a pretty rocky past, like always missing out international events by like a couple of points. He's going to lead a band of new players. They tear up a storm in the fall season, and here they are as the best performing team from the region itself, at least representing Indonesia. 7 points thus far, and they are in the clear, sure, far from the circle, but the path into the circle is pretty straightforward. They're going to get the 8th point thanks to Koja.
Oh, Bigatron looking extremely strong in this early game. Oh, I mean, their path is clear for now, but I think once they start to breach the actual outer wall of that circle, they're going to have to figure out how to deal with Twisted Minds and RRQ, because they are the next 2 teams that they're going to have to run into at some point of time. We have Fluxo on the screen here, just hanging around at the sub at the moment. Probably just playing with a bit of this high ground vision to try and spot out where some of these other teams are currently hiding. And as we can see on our mini-map just now, there are a few teams towards just the top left-hand side of the sub area. CLG and Retta not too far away here, as they're actually getting closer and closer to sub. So we might have to see Fluxo put on a bit of a fire show to keep these teams off of their area.
CLG is walking straight into them, so Fluxo can have a chance to get some pickoffs if they want to. It might attract BRU. I think that's the caveat, right? BRU has a scout down there. Oh, this is full chaos. Retta against RRQ, and Retta winning out again. RRQ just cannot seem to crack them. They lose out inside the tent alone. Dudes with the grenade launcher finds 2 as a response, and Dudes might have just saved his teammate with that weapon. Chris trying to keep it intact, but RRQ Kazu just had the right weaponry to win on this fight.
And unfortunately for Retta, because they're out of this matchup, their consistency streak for today has unfortunately been broken. So they're going to have to try and think what to do next for their next upcoming matchup, as we see Fluxo being dismantled 1 by 1 thanks to Broram and their beautifully coordinated attack. We are seeing players getting picked up here, but I don't think there's going to be enough gas left in the tank here for Fluxo. This team is just losing too many resources all in one go, unless CLG decides to come in and maybe stick their nose into this business as well. Boyram, this team is injured. They're down a player. This is the best time to intercept them if you're looking to try and grab a couple of free elims.
See, Bobs is going to... They both will walk into the container. So this is where they will decide to make their potential final stand. Very, very risky though. And BRU, they're gonna check this for sure. So Fluxo, yeah, they realize they can't stay there for too long. Gotta start moving right into CLG territory. One or the other, right? Gotta pick your poison if you are Fluxo, and Bobs is gonna realize that very, very quickly.
I mean, Bobs has grenades if he wants to use them, but it seems like he wants to save them. I can see why he would want to save them. Maybe he thinks that the connections aren't going to be enough or it won't be there. But I'm a bit worried, you know, sometimes it's not good to also play too conservatively in some of these matchups. But the circle at least is going to be in favor of these teams in here at the moment. So they don't need to really move, aside from WASK, who flies over EVOS and are taking a couple of pot shots and bullets in the process. Nobody's been taken down as of yet, but WASK, they're out in the open. I mean, they are free to be sniped if EVOS want to go for the commitment, but the team seems... They seem confused, they seem torn, like they don't know where they want to go for the full commitment. ABAX though running into the players of WASK and their compound. The blue circle's moving in as well, Husky. It's a level 3 blue circle, so this is a painful one.
We're gonna start moving, right? Like Mr. Ali, he's been on that cliff for the longest of time, but the fight has moved indoors, so you gotta start moving to help your team. You can't just stay there. WASK getting slaughtered by EVOS Divine for free. And EVOS Divine, they're realizing that whoever is in front of them is not putting up any resistance. This is a complete meltdown of WASK's formation, right? Domain, he's like, I'm out of here. I'm not gonna fight this anymore. Leo Nemo gets abandoned by his own teammate. Domain gets shot out the sky. WASK just getting torn apart by EVOS Divine.
Yeah, and the only player left is Mr. Ali, but look at where he is on the map. He's way outside the blue zone. It's a level 3 blue zone as well, so it is so painful. I truly don't know, Husky. I don't know what the play is. Like, is he just thinking... Yeah, is he just waiting, like hoping that EVOS leave? Because I think he's going to be dead. Yes, it's already Christmas. He's offering himself up for Thanksgiving.
Oh my god, yeah, that's pretty interesting. We'll check back. We'll see if that gets him in the final circle, right? Because clearly they were not in sync, but Mines and BTR to the interesting one, right? Considering that BTR has been consistent, Kristen Mines has had a monstrous round. They definitely want to keep that streak for sure, but this is a tough spot to be trapped in.
Too many teams within the vicinity, and it looks like Mr. Ali does get eliminated. That means the entire team of WASK is out of the running here. Twisted Minds are opening up with the defense. It's going to be Bigatron who want to try and go for the push, but beautiful Goo Wall to block things out for now. They are going to commit some of their grenades, and Twisted Minds, they've lost 2 players already! And they're gone!
Just like a SWAT team, break down the blue wall, throw a nade in, and just completely decimate Twisted Minds members. 12 eliminations for BTR. And then Twisted Minds, just as they found their footing in Alpine, they got completely destroyed in Kalahari. No points for them. Well, at 1 point in terms of placement, but that's pretty much it. BTR though, having a booyah worth of elimination points, looking poised to move into the final phase of the game.
Yeah, actually, I was going to mention, it kind of felt like a moment of deja vu today as well. Like, a lot of these medical tents, or these very small compounds in general, they have been a death sentence for certain teams, right? Because all it takes is for 1 or 2 grenades to connect for an entire team to get wiped out. We do have a bit of a battle here going up against CLG, going up against Corinthians. On the low ground, though, we have Fluxo, so 3 teams within the vicinity here. All it takes is 1 to try and make that move. Roram also nearby as well. Maybe if they can get some clear line of sight, maybe even Moshi could come in and contribute with a couple of pot shots. But on this high ground though, lots of competition to try and take control of the sub.
Not gonna be easy, especially with Corinthians, right? They have RQ Kazu is shooting at them from afar as well. This is gonna be a tough battle. EVOS Divine, they want to be out of there, but I'm not sure how far ABAS can drive away. Attempted shots from Buriram. Abax somehow ducked behind the crates, but behind him is CLG, so they might still be numbered as the Corinthians get wiped out. Because they did lose Ecal to the blue zone as they have to be engaged with Hua Esports. BTR on the last leg. BRU now looking incredibly comfortable.
Jonah is injured. He will be able to heal back up. And RRQ, I think once they notice that they're being shot at from the high ground, they are not going to be too happy, especially when it's time to move in towards that safe zone. But Esports, though, going to be fighting into CLG. Both teams hiding on either side of these crates. Very, very open. It's going to be a battle of those blue walls as we see a number of melters being deployed onto the ground. CLG, though, staying grouped up, while slowly pushing in with Poppy and Yan Bin Death playing on the top of the crate, but he doesn't have any line of sight. And now CLG pushing into Hua Esports themselves. No players are dropped as of yet, though. But looks like Shin, he gets caught on the side of a grenade.
He blows himself up. I think he bounced off the blue wall, and now it's up to the rest of his teammates to try and save it. But that was a fatal mistake. Unfortunately, without Shin, they just do not have the numbers. Hua Esports are wiped out. CLG makes it the top 3. They will lose Floki. Unfortunately, they gotta work with what they have. 3 members against the entirety of BRU. You also got Evo's Divine and one lone member out in the wild, but not anymore. Apex get jumped on, swung around the corner. Let's Get High finding the elimination, and it's now 4 against 3. CLG facing their biggest challenge.
The biggest challenge, this could be the biggest battle of their life, but it's a full-powered team of Buriram. Moshi in the back line is going to be going in for those beautiful snipes, but it's Get High to catch out Joker 21. The team comes back because Moshi's being jumped on by FAQ, but FAQ and DXR, they couldn't do anything. The defense on Buriram was just far too powerful for this round, so Buriram coming back into the game here, securing Booyah on our Kalahari round.
Another casual booyah for BRU. They are 6th in the knockout stage. I think too surprising at this point. They could have a couple of average rounds and still be on top, but this booyah definitely pulls them ahead of the pack once more. And just an overall, they didn't have to do anything fancy this round, right? Just play it slow, make it to the final circle and win those fights, and voila! Another win for the Thai Giant.
They didn't even have to show face, Husky. I swear, like, all game, they were just fighting, right? They didn't have to do anything at all. But Buriram, I think they're going to be feeling it pretty good to be able to grab at least one Booyah today. Maybe we're going to get some more. Find out what they have to say in our post-match with their hosts.
Buiazão aqui da Buriram, eles demoraram, viu, mas conseguiram, e é mais um buia tailandês. Tivemos da Twister Minds na partida passada e agora da Buriram. Vamos de perguntinha então aqui com o Get High.
And here's the king of Booyah, Buriram United Esports. Welcome, Get High, to our interview. So this is our 2nd week of the knockout stage already, but do you feel like all of the Brazilian teams are catching up the playstyle of the C region teams?
เขาบอกว่าอันนี้เป็นสัปดาห์ที่ 2 ของการแข่งขันรอบน็อกเอาท์แล้วรู้สึกว่าทีมบราซิลเริ่มแบบจับสไตล์การเล่นของทีมไทยได้หรือยัง
ก็ไม่มีแผนครับเขาน่าจะไม่รู้แผนเรา
หมายถึงว่าเขาว่าจับแผนของเราได้ยัง
ไม่ได้
I don't think they can catch our style because we don't have any plan or style anymore. We just chill.
Ok. Primeira pergunta da Yusu é em relação ao estilo brasileiro dos asiáticos, né? Em específico dos tailandeses. Se ele acha que os brasileiros estão conseguindo bater de frente, estão conseguindo acompanhar o estilo deles, né? De jogo. Ele falou assim que não acha nada porque, na verdade, eles não têm um estilo de jogo planejado. Eles só estão fazendo o que eles vieram para fazer aqui, que é jogar. E essa, na verdade, é sempre a resposta deles. Não é nada planejado. Eles seguem o que o coach fala. Okay, so do you believe Buriram team is the strongest team here? If so, which team could stop them?
ตอนนี้เรามั่นใจไหมว่าทีมเราเก่งที่สุดในการแข่งขันนี้ละเราคิดว่ามีทีมไหนไหมที่จะล้มเราได้
น่าจะทุกทีมครับเพราะว่าทีมเรายังไม่ได้ขนาดนั้นทุกทีมใช่
He said that I don't think my team is the strongest and I think our team can overcome us
Oh.
So nice today.
So nice.
So nice today. Perguntei pra ele, vocês acreditam que vocês são os melhores daqui? Ou os melhores não, os mais fortes daqui? E se vocês acreditam nisso, qual que é o time que poderia parar vocês? Ele falou que não acredita que eles são os mais fortes daqui e qualquer time poderia parar eles. Eu tô achando que esse cara tá escondendo o jogo, tá bom? Que ele tá sendo humilde demais. Mas tá tudo certo, família. Vamos de melhores momentos agora, porque a gente teve vários buias por aqui, nenhum brasileiro ainda, então continua mandando sua torcida e vamos acompanhar tudo que aconteceu nessa última queda. Yusu?
Thank you, Carol, and thank you, Bun, for our translator. So this is the end of our interview, and the Buriram United Esports, again, they make a booyah in a day. I think they always get a booyah whenever they play in the game, right? This is a really good thing about them. So this is the end of our interview, and thank you so much for listening. Now let's get back to our caster and see the highlights.
Buriram are feeling pretty generous today. The fact that so normally, I think the normal answer for this team, if you ask them if they think they're the strongest team in the competition, okay, Husky, agree or disagree?
What?
Would you say it's normal for this team to say that they actually think that they are the strongest team in the competition, or or do you think they're generally more humble?
I think it's just humble. I think they're just humble. If you ask anyone out there, people would say that BRU is the strongest team, even if they don't want to admit it. They could say what they want. They could say that the whole world is catching up, and they will still be regarded as one of the best teams in the world because the results show for it, right? The results speaks.
What if I changed the premise of the question because it was Get High that did the interview? What if it was Jonah or Wasana and you asked them that question? Do you think they would say it was them?
Jonah would say that they're the best. Wasana is the humble guy, right? Like he's.
I don't know. I feel like Wasana's got like a cheeky side to him as well that we just.
He hasn't been influenced. At least we haven't seen that side of him. I know Jonah would probably talk the most smack, for sure. But yeah, that's still a team to beat, right? Like there's a reason they finished. They had two World Series trophies and 2 run-up trophies. Like you don't get it for free. So this could be their hat trick. This could be their third. Who knows if they continue this performance? One of the most longest standing rosters, I think, with the core members at least, right? The only one that's been changing is like Wasana. Prior to that, it was God Cruz, and then you have Funa at one point as well, swapping between Get High. But aside from that, Jonah and Moshi, Get High, they've always been the core members of the team.
And I think that's probably one of the main reasons why this team is so successful. The fact that you're not constantly switching out players, because once you have a roster and you stay with that roster, you actually get to fine-tune and polish your teamwork, your synergy. You adapt to the way that each player plays. Like I really feel like it is such an undervalued element of teams sticking together, to be that committed to one another, because at the same time it's not only a case of you getting used to playing with one another, but it also goes to show how far you're willing to go to say, I'm going to stick with this roster. If we go through hard times, not only am I going to go through it with you, but I will do my best to also accommodate my teammates. I feel like that is such an undervalued skill in teams nowadays. Like it is so common for esports teams, not just in Free Fire, but esports in general, for players to just jump onto the next big thing, the next best team that they can build, thinking that like if I keep changing teams, I'm going to find my success, rather than committing to a single team and really giving their all for their entire roster.
Yeah, it's a pretty tough journey also, I think, right? Like to have that perfect scenario. I mean, for BRU, it's definitely a special case. They got the recipe right, and if I'm constantly winning tournaments with this team, I might as well stay until the era ends. And just like that, they put themselves in first, at least for the day. Definitely not the most explosive showing from BRU. 57 points in 4 rounds. That feels like child's play for them. But either way, gotten their first booyah. BTR also there. CLG now with 50 points. I mean, the non-SCA teams are really doing better than I expected at the start of week number 2, and I do hope that they keep this up.
Well, if they keep it up, they're going to guarantee their spot in that top 12. So CLG, 141 points. 10th place, tied with Falcons at the moment. 2 points away from attack all round. creating that gap between them and Pain and E1 as well. So CLG, they've got 2 more rounds to go to grab some more of those points to guarantee that top 12. I mean, the journey is very much possible for this team to make it to top 12, especially with this performance today.
You have to widen the gap even more though, because again,
absolutely.
You're playing your games, but the Group C teams haven't been playing their games, right? And we've seen that example with in the fall season with PE Sports, where they exhausted all of their games, and on the last day of knockout stage, because they could not fend for themselves, they ended up getting overtaken by a lot of other teams, right? Like I think WAG was one of the teams, and now WAG is sitting in 3rd place in the knockout stage, which is a crazy thing to even bring up. So you gotta be able to widen those gap and make sure that you have a decent cushion before you run out of games.
Yeah. Well, as our teams get ready for our next matchup, it is going to be Nexterra, and then following Nexterra, we're going to be getting our random final map of the day. But as we get ready for our next matchup, guys, a quick word from all of our wonderful sponsors.
Sí, ¿vos de qué parte sos? No, no está cerca del mar.
Yo de aquí, de la ciudad.
Mira,
¿Tú de qué parte eres?
del norte.
Es una zona cerca de un día, pero...
It's time for Nexterra, folks. A very exciting matchup here because this is our final guaranteed locked-in map before we start going into some random shenanigans for our final map of the day. Husky. Biggest teams for Nexterra because we've got 2 more games to go and there's only 2 games worth of points to go around.
Well, the crazy thing is, I would right off the bat say that the biggest team for Nexterra is Fluxo, because last year when they were known as Magic Squad, they actually won thanks to 2 back-to-back Nexterra wins. But then again, in this case, WAG ain't playing, so not them for sure. I don't think it's BRU's best map. I was about to say Twisted Minds because they have had great showings on Nexterra, and you can see on the screen it's Twisted Minds, back all around, and then BRU.
Twisted Minds, I mean, they've been super hot and super cold, but we'll have to see if it's going to be Nexterra that's going to bring them back into the fold. But back to our host as we get into Nexterra.
Bora pro nosso próximo mapa, que é a Nova Terra, e já já vamos descobrir juntos qual será o nosso último mapa, Yansu.
We're almost coming to the end of the day today, and of course, a lot of team they manage their best to get as much as point as possible. I'm really happy to see they play with all of the hearts like that. And now, me and Camilota, we are ready to take off for now.
Bora decolar porque os jogadores já estão posicionados, então aguenta coração porque a decolagem foi autorizada!
Time to head into the future, a glimpse of what it could be. Nexterra coming up before we spin the wheel for the random map. So for teams that want to guarantee or find certainty, this is their final chance of the day. A more generous flight path compared to the ones that we had, but
look at that intellect center.
Oh boy, I completely forgot that BTR also loves that play. So now Fluxo can't just take it for themselves.
And this is also going to put so much pressure on Fluxo because you said just now, this is supposed to be Fluxo's map, but they've struggled in the tournament so far, and to be pressured by a team such as Bigatron of all in the competition right now, this is one of the worst matchups for Fluxo. But I think at this point, they have to count their lucky stars that they haven't been eliminated yet, because if you look at our kill feed, RRQ is slaughtering EVOS.
And also Fluxo has been avoiding any sort of conflict in the early game. They have not shown any interest in fighting, so this could shake them up a little bit, right? Being forced to fight because of a hot drop. We'll check in on that a little bit because EVO's Divine are not in any way out of the woods just yet. Dude just absolutely sprays down Grenade. That's 3 points for RQ Kazu at the very beginning, and EVO's Divine have not found any revives.
Oh gosh, this is such a scary moment for EVOS. If they don't find something soon, the team is going to be out of the running. Now, Bigatron, they fought into Fluxo, and they've actually lost one of their players. They do manage to catch up Bootsin, but he hasn't been finished off as of yet. They will finally take him out, but Gio going to be the one to take down Kyung. Oh, Dix, he thought he could pick up Gio, but he gets backstabbed by Bops. Fluxo being able to recoup after a very scary early game and is looking for Ekal next. Is Ekal the last player left?
Yeah, he is, and they just knocked him down. Does he have the Horizon, right?
Double kill.
He doesn't, right? No, I think he got a revive before he got knocked out, so thank
I
goodness.
think it's one player though, I think. We didn't see any more revives, so...
Probably just one.
Wow, Fluxo, I mean, this is the saving grace that they needed so desperately as well. So very quickly, just a quick recap of what happened with that RRQ and EVOS matchup. It was bloodthirsty. We saw so many red names on that kill feed. And looks like EVOS, it was Bara that was the last remaining player. They do get a buyback in, so EVOS slowly going to be coming in with their recovery. WASK in the meantime, though, looking for a kill themselves, chasing after Yanbin on the side of Hua, who is playing a game of cat and mouse with them so far. But Yanbin is sticking around, but they do finally take him out. It's actually Mr. Ali from WK to finish him off.
Wow, stuff from WK. I mean, Mr. Ali, 2 eliminations for him so far, and shout out to Observers, man, doing that very good free drone shot. Third one, death. Drop off from the ledge, actually gets shot. Completely caught off guard. Not really sure what the plan was for Hua, but Shin goes down as well. Is that a wipeout? Almost feels like it. Thankfully, there was a buyback before Hua Esports got caught completely off guard. But 4 points for WASK. 4 precious points.
That was such a bizarre play for the team as they kind of trickled in and gave those elims away for free. Maybe they thought the compound was already empty. I'm not quite sure what happened, but Yanbin is going to bring death back into the game, so it's not all over. But they will have to start from square one because we see Koja being taken up by Bops. So the battle still continues between Bigatron and Fluxo. And look at this, Fluxo, 5 eliminations, 4 minutes into the round.
BTR continuing to go for the revives. See if 2 members left on the map, but Fluxo having such a great time. So it's Hua and BTR who are having a miserable start to the round. Picked up left, right, and center. That UAV from Corinthians will be shot. CLG taking that high ground. They said they will have pretty good control of the area around them. But the SK might... Not might, they're actually fighting Evos already. What a rush from Leon Nemo. Supported by Mr. Ali. 5 points for WK.
Wow, what an incredible round here for WASK so far, and they're going to keep on going as well. And this is probably one of the best matchups for them as well, because if they keep going after Evos, like, this team is absolutely crippled. Like, they are free food at this point in time, and AimGod will reveal himself. Switching on over to a different perspective, though, we have Twisted Minds on the screen here, chasing down Mala from Corinthians, who's all alone out in the open, and probably doesn't have a glue wall on him, so it's going to be a free elim there for Twisted Minds, the favorites to win this map.
Very unfortunate. WK 6 eliminations, and for Twisted Minds, they have 2 so far. Playing it pretty slow, but they're going to come into contact with CLG very soon, who have been holding that freeway for the longest of time. I think CLG sees this for sure. Mass revives for Hua Esports, bringing the whole team back once more.
What's the plan here for... Oh, MT7. So he knows that Baihaz is here. GU is going to be coming in for the backup as well. Fluxo, I mean, if it's a free kill, it's a free kill. You take everything that you're going to be given. GU is going to be starting the round here for the team. Just going to go for a bit of a dash to try and juke around onto the other side. They were trying to go for the backstab there, but Baiza, he has been caught. He needed a headshot if that was going to be successful. And Fluxo up to 7 eliminations, 6 minutes into the game. So Fluxo, they're farming those kills, they're farming those points. Maybe Fluxo's coming back up and they're waking up today.
Yeah, Fluxo having a good time so far, and I'm loving it. This was the team that brought the trophy back to Brazil after a few years, and of course intend to keep it there now that the World Series has flown all the way to Rio. Town will be one of the big compounds for the later stages of the game, because Corinthians right in the middle, CLG, Twisted Minds, RQ Kazu on the southern side, going to be up against Twisted Minds.
Ooh,
and this is going to be
huge.
pretty interesting at Mud side. Twisted Minds with the first engage, in fact pushing into RQ.
Pushing into RQ. I think RQ very lucky to commit 2 glue walls there, because 1 would not have been enough to stop that advancement there coming in from Twisted Minds. But they are retreating though, so you can tell already RRQ either trying to get into a more favorable position, or they just don't want to fight into this. And it looks like maybe they could be abandoning ship here. They're going to be trying to send their players off. Razor though, a little bit too late to try and go for the jump pad though. But he is fighting here with Ma'al. They did manage down a player in the meantime, but they weren't able to get the finish off in the meantime. Ma'al though, I don't know how, but this man is still alive. Moving and going to hide, trying to go for a bit of a recovery. This fight is quite long so far.
Yeah, Twisted Minds still not letting up, but RQ Kazu are out of there already. In fact, Reda might take the spot.
Oh, I think RQ is about to be fired.
But they can't get out of there. Twisted Minds caught up in time. RRQ.
And
not only that, Reda jumps
No!
onto the remnants of RRQ. This is a disaster. They are taking losses on different fronts. This is not going well. Dudes and Abai split up. Vidalao and Carlos onto Dudes. He's trying to really rendezvous with his teammates, but it's so hard with Chris intercepting them. And Reda, they're taking 2 fights at once. They want a piece of CLG, in fact. So this is just a mess on that southern side.
Oh my gosh, what chaos here for RRQ. An absolute disaster for the team as they get picked off left, right, and center. Vidalao was caught in the meantime, but his teammates is not going to be there in time. They will lose him. So Reta now down to a 3-man roster, as now Twisted Minds wanting a piece of this Reta pie. And they should be able to get Chris in the meantime. The rest of his teammates hiding in a different compound. Maybe Reta now the one regretting this fight into RRQ.
Too, being Reda. They have a very good chance, but unfortunately it didn't pay off. That could have been a big opening. Now they got knocked out. There's 2 rounds in a row where Reda just could not survive that mid-game chaos. Twisted Minds, the biggest winner of them all, 8 eliminations. looking for the last survival of RQ Kazu somewhere around mud side. And RQ, they don't have any revives to work with, so if they find this gut man, the RQ will be out.
I don't know if you want to stick around if you're Twisted Minds. Like, this circle is quite painful. It is a stage 3 circle, and CLG is here as well. They're going to launch themselves onto the high ground right into the mouth of CLG, but I don't think they were anticipating this at all. So Diamond going to be the one to start the fight here for the team. They get rid of FAQ7, opening their way up onto that highway. And this will be huge for Twisted Minds if they can steal this away for themselves. Look at where this highway is. It is dead center in the current placement of this circle.
And again, Rust Town feels like a very good place to be at right now. CLG and Corinthians definitely agree on that, but only one of them can have possession of that area, and it seems like CLG have been forcefully evicted. Corinthians gain control of the compound. Fluxo coming in from the northern side. RQ spreading out their manpower to find any vestige, any leftover buildings. Twisted Minds about to crash in as well. Saming right into the crosshair of Baez. And that's an easy takedown for the Corinthians.
Exposy even got caught on the high ground as well. Twisted Minds, I think the biggest mistake was being on the high ground, and they're gone! Twisted Minds, the backstab that came in, did not anticipate that at all. Now, have a look at this towards the zipway area. We have Hua Esports guarding that left-hand side from WASK. Big Boss on that high ground. He knows if he shows himself on that low ground, he is absolutely going to be shred apart. And Death has spotted out Leon on the low ground as well. And the fact that he's all alone, his teammates are too far away to provide support, this might just be another point going in the way of Hua.
It does seem like it, right? Big Boss have the bait in his hand, and it's caught it. CLG wiped out already by Bara. Big Boss just could not find an angle. Another case of just stalling out the game, but you have to start moving if you're WASK. Mr. Ali, he's in the circle, but the entire squad of Hua is running towards him. And finds that big revive. Okay, so they do buy some time.
Oh, I think he's going to lose his life though.
He's going to give himself up for sure, but he has led Hua Esports into a fight against EVOS.
I don't know if Hua's going to be too nervous about this, because remember, early on, EVOS were constantly bullied and picked apart, so they're not looking too good in terms of items. They have a number of glue walls to work with, but aside from that, they're not really sitting on any major big hitting weapons. Now, speaking of big hitters, we do have Buram coming in towards that top side. We have Fluxo still guarding that highway, so they could be one of the few teams that might be able to slow Buram down, if not maybe eliminate them outright. But Fluxo, keep in mind, they're also out in the open, being on the highway. You have a lot of vision to work with, but you have no natural cover up there.
It's actually funny, when they saw the Riptide Raider flying in, all of them prone down.
They're just
make
like,
sure that BR doesn't end up shooting them. And that's the advantage of the high ground, and they are in the circle, right? So Fluxo actually have a bit of an advantage when it comes to that. They will be able to buy some time. Shin wants to make that move. Uh-oh, getting shot by BRU. Changes his trajectory at the last second. He survives, but maybe not Death. Oh, Death gets picked back out. Yenming gets knocked down. Fluxo now taking advantage of the high ground.
Fluxo, I mean, you've got the high ground. That is the best place to try and look for those elimination kills. Buram going to be playing on the side of the highway, using it as cover as they pick off Death there, thanks to Get High, the drop and the elimination point too. And this is such a great position for Buram. There are no teams here. They're playing on the side of the hill, which means they have natural cover. They also have these crates to work with as well. They're in a great position to pressure to pressure Fluxo. And if Fluxo is gone, or they want to deal with the teams on the low ground, they have that high ground vision. I actually feel like this might end up being another Buram game unless someone's able to contest from there.
We'll see. I mean, Fluxo, they have to be prepared for BRU about to storm where they are at. Such a good spot to play with. This for the next circle. So EVOS will be pressured. That BRU might make a detour. Taking the southern side. Look at that, completely uncontested while everyone else is fighting for scraps. Hua Esports have the same idea. RQ Kazu is going to be spotted out by BRU for sure as they put up the blue walls, set up that defense line. And look at this, such a good angle to play with.
So beautiful. I don't think anyone is anticipating them at all. RQ fighting into EVOS in this very tiny compound, but RQ down to Dutz, the last player remaining, but he gets eliminated EVOS, AimGod and Bara still standing strong. They're probably going to try and go for the pickup there onto G'day, so they still have 3 players to work with. But look at this shooting from the sideline, looking for those quick little pickups. Was
the tough, I mean, Corinthians hanging by a thread. Fluxo, they are prepping for that final push. They know that this is probably the opportunity. Gotta find out where EVOS is though. EVOS behind Fluxo. This could change the landscape of that final fight because Fluxo, they will have to start moving soon, but unless EVOS gets crippled, circle closing in,
I think it's
will have
Fluxo.
to go into the center. In Fluxo, they might have to fight this now.
I think Fluxo has to drop now. They can't afford to stay up there, but they catch up. Bombs! What the heck was that, Jonah?
What a shot from Jonah. Bobs just got sniped like that. Riptide Rhythm out. Blue wall being put up by Fluxo again. Somehow surviving the initial onslaught, but Fluxo deciding to hold on high ground still. Trying to draw out the circle for as long as possible. They drop their own Riptide Rhythms, forcing Moshi to be in an uncomfortable position. But EVOS Divine, they're slowly creeping in, and this could be the difference maker.
I think what maybe Moshi's hoping to do is that if he gets too close, you can't aim down that far enough on the side of Fluxo, meaning that if Fluxo jumps down, they're going to be waiting in the open hands of Moshi. Lots of blue walls playing on that low ground, but also lots of blue wall melters being committed there by Fluxo. They do manage to catch up with Sana next to MT7. EVOS, though, playing on the low ground themselves, also causing Buriram a lot of issues. Buriram going to go for the push up to EVOS, flushing them out from that low ground, but they can't finish anyone off. Get high, though, gets picked up in the back lines.
So well done. The Trogon from Fluxo took out Wasana as they wanted to make the rotation. BRU had the right read, right? You go under the highway to avoid Fluxo, but they lost members in the process. Jonah trying to salvage the game. Fluxo actually ended up losing 2 of their members because they all went under the blue zone. Jonah with the grenade launcher, looking to turn it around. And Fluxo, having members left on the freeways, puts in MT7 against Get High and Moshi. This might come down to a medkit game again.
Unless someone has something.
Who is going to start healing? MT7 puts it, is it going to be you? Riptide Rhythm was used on the low ground, so there's not going to be any glue walls to work with. They're going to start healing up, puts in with it. Horizon Lines might be the difference maker. And unfortunately, there's just no way for anyone to make a difference. They just got to somehow pull
MT7.
through.
MT7, Get High. Who can heal faster? Who's
so
going to be
close.
the first one to drop? It's so close. I think it's going to be Buriram. That is it. They had to bet this. Fluxo tried to play the late game, but they just didn't have the hell. Buriram. Second Booyah today.
Second Booyah, and it came down to the wire again. Fluxo and BRU both had the right idea. BRU, they wanted to avoid Fluxo, so you know what? We'll just go under the structure that Fluxo is on so they cannot pick this off. We lost Get High early on. Fluxo sent members down to try and cause chaos and buy time, but unfortunately, the 2 players that flew down from the freeway both got picked off by Jonah with a grenade launcher, which made all the difference in that final sequence.
Oh, that was an insane game. And if I'm not mistaken, I actually saw one of the Fluxo players from the high ground drop a mine onto the players on Buriram, but it just didn't get the connection. Oh man, I kind of feel like the fact that they had to try and go for this medkit play. Imagine if Butson had a grenade. I have a feeling he didn't have one, but if he had one, if he tried to go for the drop and just drop a grenade on top of Buriram, maybe that would have been enough for them. But let's see what Buriram have to say in this post-game interview after securing Booyah number 2.
Buiazão da Buriram por aqui, uma dobradinha para eles nesse momento e foi um buia sofrido para nós brasileiros que estávamos nessa expectativa. Mas tudo bem, jogo que segue, é o competitivo. Vamos trocar uma ideia agora com o CPT do time da Buriram, Joanna.
Joanna, very impressive. Buriram United Esports, 2 Booyah in a row. That's really good, actually. So, Joanna, coming to this competition, you know that as the strongest team, they will be having a lot of team putting you guys on their side. So for this time, I will ask you guys about Fluxo. Since Fluxo, I think they're getting adapt to the C region playstyle like a lot. Do you have any thoughts about Fluxo since they're your best competitors right now?
เหมือนตอนนี้ฟุกโซอ่ะค่อนข้างจะปรับแผนการเล่นให้เข้ากับสไตล์การเล่นของ C เราคิดยังไงกับฟุกโซในตอนนี้บ้าง
ปกติเลยครับคิดเขาว่าเขาเล่นเหมือนเดิม
He said that I don't see the difference. I think Fuxo is still play the same.
Ok. A primeira pergunta da Yusu foi sobre o fluxo, de fato, né? Se o Joena acha que o fluxo já conseguiu se adaptar ao estilo de jogo asiático, especialmente dos tailandeses. E ele falou que não, ele acha que o fluxo está jogando do mesmo jeito. De sempre. Okay, I would like to repeat the same question I did for RRQ Kazoo, because since we are in the last weekend of the qualifying phase to the knockout stage, I would like to know if he can pick 3 teams to not advance for the next stage, who would it be? I think I did for Twisted Minds, right? Sorry.
ก็คือตอนนี้มันเป็นสัปดาห์สุดท้ายแล้วของรอบ knockout stage เขาก็เลยถามว่าคิดว่า3ทีมไหนจะไม่ผ่านเข้ารอบไฟนอล
ไม่รู้ครับเพราะยังไม่ได้ดูคะแนนเลย
He said that he cannot pick any because he haven't seen the scoreboard yet.
Oh, but that's okay. Just pick 3. Just pick 3. Just go ahead. Come on.
WSK แล้วก็อาจจะเป็น CLG แล้วก็ 6K
6K CLG and WASC
CLG and
K Gamma Six Karma.
Six Karma. Ok. Tá bom, perguntei pra ele se ele pudesse pegar 3 times pra não avançar pra próxima fase, né, da fase do Point Rush e, consequentemente, pra grande final, qual desses times ele pegaria. Ele falou que Six Karma, que é Latam, CLG também Latam, e por último, what was the last one? WASC. Então é isso, minha família, bora de melhores momentos.
Yeah, thank you, Carol, and thank you, Jonah, for having us in this interview. And again, it's a booyah for Bermuda Esports. They are really strong at this moment right now. Thank you so much for watching our interview. It's the end now. And now, let's head back to the caster and see the highlights.
Well. Buriram is securing their second booyah of the day, and it had to be on our last guaranteed confirm map because we are about ready to jump into our random map Husky. What are the odds of Buriram just doing a clean sweep for our last 3 games of the day?
You know what? It's not impossible, right? They have done it so many times. I wouldn't put it past them. Although the rounds have been pretty close, right? It's been closer I think you compared to BRU 2 years ago, they would just crush everyone. But right now, fight for the final circle has gotten more and more intense. Teams are catching up. Will they get the final booyah? There's a good chance, but I think it wouldn't be that straightforward. I know Fluxo definitely were not pleased with not winning this round because they had such a good run. Thanks to BRU, you could see that on their faces at the end of it. So I would assume that Fluxo, they will be coming in with a vengeance in the final round.
I think it's also going to depend on this final map as well, right? Because it is totally random. We do have our opinions on what these maps could be. I am getting a funny feeling that it could be Purgatory, but you're thinking it's Alpine.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's Alpine. I don't know. I feel like if I have to choose, I would always choose Kalahari, but my gut tells me it might be Alpine. But of course, you know, MVP Jonah, that grenade launcher makes so much of a difference in these final circles.
And it's in the hands of Buriram too, which makes it what 10 times worse.
Doesn't help when you literally have to be in the face of your opponents, right? So you are just eating, even if you don't get hit directly, you end up becoming collateral, right? Jonah has 8 eliminations. You don't see this often for him. He doesn't get most elims most of the times. This is one of the few cases.
He had fun. That's what I'm seeing here. He had some fun numbers. Getting the elims, the knockdowns, the damage, so... I mean, maybe it's time for Jonah to finish strong, especially with this final map as our competitors, our survivors competing here at Worlds, waiting to see what this final map is going to be, because I know for some teams, this final map will possibly determine their fate for their final points for today. And it doesn't help that Buriram is starting to get the majority of these points in those last 2 games, because if Buriram is getting points, that means no one else is getting points. So you kind of have to take Buriram out of the equation if some of these other teams that are really vying for points, if they want to have a chance of getting them, You gotta get rid of the kings. You've gotta dethrone them. You just got to eliminate them. And, you know, if it's an unkind map, it might just be the same story again for our last map today. Oh, look at those points though.
Ooh. The thing is, from Corinthians onwards, they have been stuck in the 50 point for like what, 1-2 rounds.
Actually, the point distributions are crazy, Husky. Look how even it is from 2nd to 10th.
If you just ignore BRU, everyone is having a pretty consistent day except for WESK. This is so rare. This is so rare where you have almost the entire lobby having a, average, well, above average days. This is I think I've never had a knockout stage where most teams have such even points. I don't think so.
I kind of want to blame Buriram for this because they hogged the points for the last 2 rounds. And I kind of question if it wasn't Buriram that got the eliminations and the Booyah, where would those points have gone instead? And obviously we saw in the previous round, one of them would have been Fluxo.
True, you know what would have been perfect? If WASK won the Booyah the previous round, everyone would be in the same range. That would be the perfect scenario.
Yeah,
but
so true.
I mean, BRU, off of 2 rounds, now they are ahead. I think they've broken into the 300 point mark at this point. So, yeah, the team can stop thinking about catching up to BRU. Twisted Minds is now the 2nd benchmark, right? They're in 2nd place right now.
Is there any chance that we're sort of gonna have a bit of a change of hierarchy in our top 3? Not really, right? Like, I think it's too close. But we'll have to see. In the meantime, though, a quick word from our wonderful sponsors.
So we have one more map to go. We still have no idea where it is. Your guess is Purgatory. My guess is Alpine.
We're going swimming, sir. It's either we're going swimming or skiing.
Yeah, either or, right? It's liquid but in different forms, right? Either you get water or you get ice.
And then watch the map end up being Bermuda. Then we both look like we have egg on our face. So.
And Bermuda is like nice balance. You know, can never go wrong with it.
I think it's probably the fairest map out of all maps because everyone knows how to play Bermuda, so it's like way more even. It's
like the map without gimmicks, right? You know, like Bermuda is like balanced. Kalahari is barren. You know, Nexterra is just plenty of gimmicks. You know, all the low graph left teleporters. Alpine is long. Purgatory is big. All those stuff. So we just have to see, like, what do we get? I would say that I personally want Alpine because I feel like Alpine was a very interesting map to watch just now, and I want to kind of see how the teams adapt to it.
Bora, Peu, bora conferir juntos agora qual será o nosso último, porém não menos importante, mapa do dia, Ansu.
We are at our final rounds for the match today, and it's time to get the random map quickly.
Bora pra nossa última queda do dia. Bora ver se vai dar Brasil, Yansu.
Yes, and this is the end of the match day today, and we are heading off to Kalahari. And I'll see you guys today with Camilota.
Bora decolar porque os jogadores já estão posicionados, então aguenta coração. Pega a sua pipoca bem quentinha, renovada, porque a decolagem foi autorizada!
Yeah, so we were saying that if we were given a choice, we would always choose Kalahari. We didn't want to choose it because it would be unfair to everyone else, but here we are, back on Kalahari again.
And we're about to be hated by every single team competing in the competition.
But it's fun, it's fun. It's a
I
map
know
that-
it's fun, but the
like
teams don't think it's fun. That's the issue.
I mean, if you want to win, you gotta get good at every single map, right? This is,
Okay.
I mean, this is the only map that has been introduced to the comp pool, removed, reintroduced, removed, and then reintroduced again. And it definitely throws some of the newer gen off for sure, but I mean, it's about time you get used to it. It's been constant for almost 2 years.
Bops. Okay, this man's putting on a bit of
They
a show.
changed the drop spot? What?
Yeah, look, it's the last random map. I think you kind of have to do some crazy shenanigans here, and the fact that Bops is doing this, I am thoroughly entertained. He's gonna try and get out of there, and look, the thing is, gun loadout, not looking too great so far, so Bops is still hanging around. I mean, Jonah's there to try and provide support from a distance, but look at Bops, he's just bobbing up and down. He's having so much fun.
Get out of this. He's trying to set up for a backstab onto Jonah. Someone is... Gio is coming up behind.
Yeah, Giyu is there, and Bootsons is here hiding behind a cactus. Like, look, I swear if Fluxo is able to get rid of Buriram now, this is huge because all of a sudden, this opens the game wide open for all of our competitors in the round. But unfortunately, it looks like Buriram not going to fall for that bait, not going to go for that full commitment. They decide to back up. And I think Gio at the same time, like, he sees this and he's also going to abandon ship because it is far too dangerous to try and go for a commitment here.
Very little teams can have the bragging rights to say that they hard drop BRU and won. I think the latest one is probably Netshoe Miners at the EWC. So BRU actually are gonna start backing off. So Fluxo, they're gonna spread out. Oh, Jonah almost catching one of the Fluxo members off guard. And the rest of BRU are already out of there. So Jonah willingly to give up his life for this. Gonna see if he can get a trade and actually still gets a knockdown to GU. But thankfully wasn't able to get the confirm. That could have been a lot worse for Fluxo. So they are the ones that cash us in on the point.
They cash in on the point. They're going to bring their boy back as well. I think looks like they're just going to leave him to bleed out. I think that's the plan, unfortunately. Okay, no, they do get the pick up there for GU, so it's fine. Fluxo back up to their 4-man roster, but I mean, not a bad start for Fluxo. Sure, it's just one elim, but an elim is a elim. Speaking of other elims, we have Twisted Minds here picking up a quick elim themselves, moving together as a group and pushing away some of these other players from CLG. As we see one of the players being brought back and flying back into the map to try and regroup with his team, but Twisted Minds off to a strong start themselves. They're sitting on 3 eliminations.
Let's see, even for Twisted Minds, of course, off screen, they have, I think today for Twisted Minds have been pretty rough, right? They had like,
it has been, yeah,
1-2 good rounds, and the rest have just been abysmal.
Okay, wait a minute. Actually, no. I think I'm going to have to disagree because, like, aside from Buriram, it's been pretty even across the board. Like, yes, okay.
That's true. That's
Twisted
true.
Minds is not like, they're not leading, but they're also not suffering. They're definitely within arm's length of being able to at least get, like, second place.
I think most teams have, like, really good rounds and underwhelming ones, right? That's why we get, like, such a good balance.
I think it's the grouping.
Like that. Last week it wasn't this like spread out. Why I just wanted to say CLG was having a good time, but apparently not. Wiped out first in the last round. So
that's gonna hurt them. Yeah, a bit unfortunate there for CLG. Would have been nice to be able to keep up with the rest of the teams. But looks like Dutz has been caught there thanks to Abara. So really nice pick off there for Evos. Nice cute little one from that replay. But it looks like aside from that one team that's been eliminated, it's going to be a pretty quiet round, Husky. And I think this is, I mean, do you think we're moving back to like classic Kalahari now? The fact that, you know, giant map, lots of space, barely run into teams. Although actually maybe Fluxo is about to change my mind here because they're about to run into Retta.
Yeah, thinking about backing away, but this Arsenal is too good to pass up. So they're going to make a pit stop there. Let's see if Retta takes the initiative. But to your point, I feel like Kalahari has evolved in how teams approach it, right? It used to be a very fast map. Like, everyone likes to fight, and then they realize that, why are we fighting? It's so risky. Let's not fight. And then Portugal showed up, and everyone starts fighting on every single map, including Kalahari. Like, Portugal plus the grapple gun is just way too powerful. But right now, I feel like it has slowed down a bit just because Portugal is not a thing anymore, right? People have to use a launch pad, and it's a lot more risky than before. So, interesting map. I think teams are slowing down for sure, especially when the Indonesians were dominating the map for quite a long time.
Speaking of Indonesians, Bigatron not looking too good here, unfortunately, being advanced. Kyung does get brought back thanks to Koja. Death, in the meantime, though, is going to be able to catch out Dix and Koja. Yanbin going to grab that one. Bigatron, I think if there's time to get on out of there, it has to be now. It's going to be Hikal that's trying to grapple his way on out of there. And thankfully for him, no fatal shots coming in from Hua, but look at the fact they're launching themselves into Bigatron, wanting to fully commit for this elim. They will catch Ekal, but we did see one of the players fly on away, so Bigatron will remain in the game as long as their player that they brought back is able to find a way to revive the team.
I just say that was not even close. Like, Kyung showed out, tried to one-round Poppy, and it did nothing. Like, Poppy didn't even lose health, right? He just one-shotted Kyung, which was pretty weird. Corinthians actually found a revive and lost a member in the process again to BRU. Pretty unfortunate for them. The BRU finding their first point in this game. Again, this BRU is going to play slow and steady, wait for the final phase, then figure out the thing about what makes BRU so successful is, first of all, their drop zone is hardly contested, and when it's contested, usually they win, and they always find a way to make it to the final circle without much confrontations. And once they make it to the final phase, they usually have a great chance of winning the round.
Well, if looking at the circle here, Husky, I mean, I kind of feel like we could be looking at another Bro-Ram game because they will be uncontested coming in from that bottom right-hand corner. Fluxo and Retta, though, dead center of this current circle, so plenty of opportunity for these two teams to maybe try and go for a bit more of an aggressive gatekeepy kind of play, prevent teams from finding those really nice compounds to sort of sit in. But, you know, Bro-Ram, this game so far, it's going to let them play slow and steady unless somebody can stop them. Just the only issue is that there's no one near them at the moment to challenge them. And surprising play here for Fluxo, they actually decide to abandon that central area of the circle and instead opting to want to play on the outer edge. So it looks like they are hungry to try and find some kind of elimination, or if they want to try and go for their loot.
Fluxo, they actually are moving close
right
to the edge of the circle, right? Yeah. To be fair, it has been their play style so far. It's good to see that they stick to it, right? They don't feel the urgency to really, go in for any aggressive moves. In fact, in elimination case, MT7 actually has more eliminations than Moshi, right? We look at the sniper comparisons, which is a bit surprising considering that BRU has definitely gotten into more fights than Fluxo overall.
Yeah. And Hua Esports playing on the outer edge in the blue zone at Shrines, actually, which is quite a surprise. I thought they would try and go inside the blue zone now. Like, sure, okay, it's only a level 2 blue zone, so it doesn't hurt as much. But, I mean, I think we've seen already what happens to a lot of these teams if you stay around in the blue zone a bit too much. Portal Go, we have not seen this today. Up until now, RRQ will be using this. close the gap between them and Retta, and unfortunately for Dutz, he wasn't able to get that final secure there onto Chris. He will continue to advance. He's going to pop that glue wall as well, but he has to be careful because there is another player on the other side. Actually, Vitalo going to be able to escape. Chris trying to go for the escape himself, but he's out in the open. No glue wall to protect him, and that's going to be a kill going in the way of RRQ.
Good try from Chris, but it's just too hard to survive that. Lopez also getting straight down. RRQ picking off members of Retta as they're all scattered into the wind, and that is the worst case scenario when you play in Kalahari. When you are forced to scatter like that, you essentially will get picked off one by one. Not much cover to work with. So Retta, despite being in the center of the circle, does not have much to work with.
I mean, Vitalo is hiding. I can't imagine what his heart rate is like right now because he is dead center of so many teams in this central area. He's got EVOS to one side, RRQ towards another side. He doesn't know it yet, but there's Twisted Minds nearby as well. So Vitalo, it's going to be a crazy game for this man, but all you have to do now is to survive. We do have Twisted Minds on the screen looking down at RRQ, so they do know that there is a team on that low ground. I think they're trying to decide if they want to try and fight or if they want to go for these little pickups, and they do catch out Dutz with a mighty fine snipe there. And this is the sign for this team to go. You get rid of one, it opens the door wide open for you to pursue. They almost catch up. They just need a little bit more, whether it be one final bullet or a little bit of chip damage, and Diamond will get him.
See right now RRQ, they can just take their time. But I say that, but Twisted Minds coming in, they might have to ignore that Retta member. Twisted Minds about to wipe them from the side. Sami getting shot from the back by Abai, but not before Dutz goes down. Backup coming in, still hiding in the container. Diamond has bigger business to do with, and that's going to be RRQ Kazu, and now having to pick up some extra points for himself. Amos and Diamond working together, even committing the Riptide Rhythm just to secure the elimination. 8 points for Twisted Minds.
Unfortunately for Retta, they weren't able to play the long game, but Twisted Minds definitely looking to play the long game themselves, looking for their next victim, but there's no one within the vicinity at the moment, so they're gonna have to try and figure out what's the next play. Do they want to play towards the center of command post? Do they want to try and occupy a compound? Or do they want to try and do something else that might be a little bit more sneaky? They're going to play on the outside at the moment, so keeping their options open. But their next opponent could be Bigatron, because they are the next team to come in towards a circle. Following Bigatron is Fluxo. Twisted Minds could be sandwiched here if Twisted Minds starts a fight with Bigatron and they can't finish it soon.
Let's see, even for the Corinthians, the full mass revive for RQ Kazu at the 12-minute mark. This is gonna be tough for RQ. EVOS, this is one of the better rounds that they had for sure. Just force up Corinthians into the open. The Corinthians finally making a move. They can try to circle around EVOS if they want to, right? This is more of an urban setting. One of the few areas in Kalahari where you have enough buildings to work with. Corinthians will make that move. EVOS Divine moving out into the open, actually trying to challenge Corinthians.
Very, very brave. I mean, you know, it's the last round of the day. I think sometimes you're going to have to take those risks. And it looks like Abe has been caught by MT7. Beautiful right there. That's going to be a elim for the team. Fluxo, in the meantime, though, going to be playing on the side of that cliff side. They do manage to see a number of players and a number of teams. The decision, though, is focus Hua or focus Twisted Minds. So far, it looks like they are thinking about trying to push into Hua. Do they have information on Twisted Minds? They do see the blue wall, so I think they know that there is a team finally within that compound, but this is a really crowded circle, Husky. 31 players, 9 teams remaining, and a lot of those teams are coming in from that western side.
Hawaii's was actually dropped in as well, so WK have their work cut out for them. Many teams to look at. Of course, the first one you want to that requires immediate attention is definitely going to be Hua. And even then you have BRU just watching this from the high ground. Actually, WASK is aware of this though. They actually go for the rush. Urgency to clear out Hua Esports. Longer it takes, the riskier it becomes to go through that building. And here it is. The full rush. Mr. Ali gets knocked down. They should have the numbers straight with Hua. And that's what you want to achieve. Big cross with a good spray down. The enemy actually gets stolen away by Wasana, but more importantly is that WK finds a good place to stay in. But Mr. Ali also goes down.
Uh-oh, that might be a big one here for WASK because I feel like Mr. Ali, he's been playing a really big role for this team, especially when it comes to dishing out a lot of that damage for the team. And we do have Bigatron. They are being jumped on here by Corinthians. Now remember, we've seen this curse time and time again. Teams hiding within a tiny compound. All it takes is one grenade to completely dismantle the team, but it looks like it's going to be Corinthians being dismantled themselves, being rushed upon, down to Nike Boy all on his own. He's trying to get the snipes in, but there's only so much you can do as a one-man army, and that's going to be it for Corinthians. Eliminated in 7th place.
The whole world is shooting at you there. You really just have to take it. Evil's Divine might not be for long as well. Aim guard goes down. That's Evil's Divine is dominating. So still in it to win it for the second time. You need help though. Gotta take care of BTR in front of them. Twisted Minds. BRU still not a concern for now, but Fluxo will need some time to patch themselves back up. Let's see what the move is gonna be. It seems like they want to take that inner ground. It's gonna put them in good position to deal with Twisted Minds, but under the condition that BRU doesn't free themselves from WASK, but that seems like not the case, right? BRU have already made it out of there.
They made it out of there. They are in the clear. It's up to them if they want to try and push into Fluxo or into that big ball of teams of Twisted Minds and Bigatron. Looks like Bigatron is going to be the first one to go down. So Buriram, Fluxo, as well as Twisted Minds, our top 3 teams for our last game of the day. Moshi on that rooftop. He's got so much vision to work with, as well as that glue wall. If someone doesn't jump up there, then he's going to be able to do so much damage. Get High's up there as well. Jonah's hiding in the compound. Wasana's going to be playing on the outside as well. Twisted Minds, though, having to play with blue walls because Fluxo, they have the compound. And look at this, Buriram going to create some distance.
And they're going to take up as much real estate as possible, as much open space as they can, just so they could dictate where the other 2 teams fight. I mean, Fluxo, they actually spotted Moshi just now. The problem for Fluxo right now is that they're in the middle, and they might be the first team that has to move out first, so damn if you do, damn if you don't, right? You move out and you're gonna run into BRU and Twisted Minds. But Fluxo doesn't want to do that because they want Twisted Minds to make the first move, and this blue zone is gonna end up taking out all of them. So Fluxo had no choice. They're gonna be moving out into the open. Twisted Minds having the liberty to buy themselves a bit of time, but Fluxo, they will have to push straight into BRU. But Twisted Minds, they're breaking down Fluxo's defenses. They're making life hard.
Okay, Buriram, very interesting decision. They decided to split their forces, so they had Moshi focusing down Twisted Minds, the rest of the team going onto Fluxo. But the fact that nobody has gone down now, this has basically opened the game wide open. Jonah running into Twisted Minds, immediately taken down. The rest of the team to follow, but look at the number of blue walls, and even Fluxo's being involved.
Jonah ran straight into a trip mine, and Fluxo trying to capitalize on it. Now it's a ceasefire somehow. All 3 teams managed to pull themselves away from the firefight to get ready for round 2, but Fluxo, they have the man advantage.
Well, Fluxo, look at this. All the teams just running in this circle formation, trying to figure out who can catch the other one first. But someone's got to give. Someone has to make the call. Look at these blue walls. I kind of fear for Fluxo. There are too many blue walls that if this blocks them from going in towards the center, this might just be it for the team.
And that's the Riptide Rhythm opening up the center point. Roshi is going to be surrounded somehow. Making it through, shot down by MT7. Sami goes down into the Riptide Rhythm. Right, the center. Fluxo rushing around. Good eyes on the line. Wasana still there. And BRU somehow surviving with 2 members. And MT7 right in the middle. Shot down again by BRU. Makes it through to the very end in this extended valley dance. So 3 Booyahs in a row.
I'm not sure if my eyes saw right, but I feel like Fluxo would have had a chance if... I don't think Bobs was ready for it. I don't think he was ready to be ambushed. Maybe he thought he had time to heal up, but he decided to try and patch himself up with the medkit first. And I think he just got blown up by it was either Wasana or Jonah. One of the 2. They just came in, they popped it, turning what would have been a 2v2 into a 2v1 situation in that final moment. Fluxo so close to getting that booyah, but Buriram is coming in today and sweeping the final 3 booyahs of day 1. 2. Let's see what they have to say post-match interview.
buias na mão do time tailandês Buriram. Foi o melhor time da Ásia, né, nesse último Free Fire World Series da Ásia. E mais uma vez eles vêm aqui provando porque eles são os reis do buia. Let's go! Vamos fazer uma entrevistinha agora com o Moshi, please.
I'm speechless because 3 booyahs in a row. What can we say? King of Booyah, Buriram United Esports.
We are out of questions.
Yeah, we are out of questions. We don't know what to ask. Moshi, I saw that your snipe today, your snipe game really is really good. Like he plays sniper super good. So can you teach us how to play? Any advice, any tactics to teach us how to be better in a Free Fire?
ทำยังไงให้เล่นสไนเก่งเหมือนเราแชร์เคล็ดลับหน่อย
ก็ผมก็ไม่ได้เก่งอะไรมากครับทีมผมเก่งมากกว่า
เอาแชร์เคล็ดลับด้วย
ไม่มีเคล็ดลับคือกินเยอะๆเดี๋ยวก็เล่นเก่งเอง
I don't have any tip to share to become a good sniper like me. Actually, my team is good, so I would share to like eat a lot, sleep a lot, and play a lot.
Really? Perfeito. A pergunta da Yusu foi basicamente, você é considerado um dos melhores snipers, então por favor, dá algumas dicas de como ser um ótimo sniper pra gente. E ele falou que não tem muitas dicas pra dar, que ele só joga, na verdade. Então, dicas que ele pode dar é durma bem, coma bem e jogue bem. Okay, since you guys represent Thailand right now, I would like to know if he has any message to send to Thailand fans.
ฝากข้อความถึงแฟนๆชาวไทยหน่อย
ครับก็ฝากเชียร์ทีมไทยทั้ง4ทีมด้วยครับเพราะพวกเราก็ทำเต็มที่กันทุกทีมก็ไม่ผิดหวังแน่นอนครับพวกเราจะเอาแชมป์กลับประเทศไทยให้ได้ครับ
To Thai fans, please support and cheer for all 4 Thai team. We are doing our best and we will not disappoint you guys. We will try to win this championship.
Já que eles estão representando a Tailândia, eu queria pedir para ele falar, mandar uma mensagem, né, para a Tailândia de fato. E ele falou assim, por favor, a toda a nação tailandesa, nos dê todo o apoio possível e não só pra gente, como para todos os outros times tailandeses que estão aqui representando vocês. Also, they are very known by Brazilian fans. Does he have any message for Brazilian fans?
เขาบอกว่าทีมเราก็เป็นที่รู้จักของคนบราซิลเหมือนกันแล้วมีอะไรจะฝากชาวบราซิลไหมแฟนๆ
ก็ฝากเป็นที่รักของชาวบราซิลด้วยละกันอย่าจ้องทำร้ายทีมผมนะเพราะทีมผมไม่ได้เก่งอะไรมากขนาดนั้น
To our Brazilian fans, please give us some support. Like,
come on,
don't try to like curse us or bring bad luck to us.
ไม่แปลว่าอะไรไม่ถูกไม่รู้
Like just give love to them, please.
Okay. Aí eu pedi pra ele, né, mandar uma mensagem também para os brasileiros. E ele falou assim, por favor, só dê o apoio pra gente e mande muito amor pra gente. A gente já sabe o que a gente vai mandar, né? Vamos mandar ele pra assistir os melhores momentos.
Don't worry, we will see them later at the MVP interview anyway, right? This is the end of our interview. So let's head back to our caster and see the highlights and recap.
Yep. See, I did say that I wouldn't put it past them, that they can definitely get it. But I also did say, I did preface that it's not going to be a cakewalk, right? It's going to be very, very close, and that's exactly what happened. They got the Booyah, but it was a final circle with Twisted Minds and Fluxo, and all 3 teams display just higher level of understanding on how to play on the very edge. But of course at the very end, BRU pulled through again, somehow in BRU fashion, all thanks to this man, Hosanna. In the most important moment, he was left unchecked, so he get to do whatever he wanted. He was popping heads, he was dropping bodies, and he was the reason that they won the crucial fights at the end.
He really was. I think it really came down to that last 2v2. Vops deciding to heal, and Wasana comes in and just pops him. Like, get high. Get high comes in, pops Vops, turns it into a 2v1, and then I think that was basically it for MT7. There was just no way this man was going to be able to win 2v1 against Buriram.
Yeah, look at this. The shoulder boost as well. Pretty disappointed for if you're Fluxo. I mean, again, 2 Booyahs, right?
Yeah.
Back to back, slipped away from you thanks to BRU shenanigans and just how good they are. And that's the difference, right? Like, most teams, they would try to like outlast their opponents, but not BRU. BRU's mentality is very straightforward. If I take you down first, I win, right? There's no such thing as outlasting my opponents. I outlast them by removing them from the game, and that's what they do. And they're willing to go aggressive and win the fights because they know that they can win.
And I thought, just starting from the matches today, I thought today would be a very quiet day for Buriram. That maybe this team was going to get one booyah at most, and then they would get nothing. But everything just went downhill for everyone else the moment Buriram got their booyah on Kalahari, right? Like, that was it. Got the booyah, and then they just continued to steal all these points away from the rest of the competition. I can't emphasize this enough. The fact that Buriram is grabbing these booyahs, they're stealing so many placements away from these other teams. They're stealing so many kill points away from these other teams as well. And before this mashup, basically everyone from 2nd place to 10th, they were almost tied. At most, the gap was 10 points. And this final round was where these teams are supposed to grab their final round of points for the day to basically set themselves up for their 2nd play day.
You can see the different expressions on the players, right? Like BTR is probably the most relaxed out of the Indonesian squads because they have a pretty good day. We also saw the Corinthians, not the worst. You know, Corinthians are in a pretty good spot, but
I think Husky, everyone's in a good spot, or at least they were coming into this mashup because it was so even. But I think once we see the final scoreboard of like the points everyone got for today, then we'll probably have a better idea of like where everyone is and what their goals are going to be for their final play. Because remember, folks, this is the first game for all these teams. We only have one more play day to go. But before we look at the stats, we do have an interview lined up for MVP of the day. So let's see who was our MVP for today.
Bora de MVP Kaspersky do dia, então, porque mais um MVP está nas mãos da Buriram, e dessa vez do capita, né, do CPT da Buriram, Joanna. Here's your trophy, congratulations.
Uau!
E agora só resta o Moshi, né, porque o time todo já tem o MVP, mas vamos conversar novamente com o Joanna, que já deu entrevista hoje pra gente. Vamos falar com ele agora especificamente sobre ele, tá, e sobre o dia maravilhoso que a Buriram teve também.
So, congratulations, Jonah, for having your trophy here. So we only have Moshi left, but I think they will take it on Sunday anyway.
No, don't say that.
So, Jonah, do you know that you have a lot of fans in Vietnam? Do you know that?
รู้ไหมว่าจริงๆแล้วเรามีแฟนคลับที่เวียดนามเยอะมาก
ไม่รู้ครับ
Now you know. Now you know. So, like, does he know like a little bit Vietnamese?
รู้คำพูดเวียดนามสักคำไหม
Xin chào.
Oh, okay. So anyway, you got your trophy already. That's really cute. Do you want to say anything to all of the fans here, and especially to the Thai fan and Vietnamese fan?
มีอะไรอยากฝากถึงแฟนๆทั่วโลกไหมโดยเฉพาะแฟนๆชาวไทยกับชาวเวียดนาม
ก็ฝากติดตามด้วยครับรอบชิงจะทำให้เต็มที่ครับ
Please follow and support us. We will do our best on the final stage.
Perfeito. A Yusu fez uma dinâmicazinha aqui com ele sobre o país dela, né? Pra quem não sabe, ela é do Vietnã. E ela falou com ele que ele tem realmente muitos fãs no Vietnã. E se ele teria alguma mensagem pra enviar pros times do Vietnã e também pros times tailandeses. E ele só pediu muito apoio pra eles nesse momento, que realmente é uma fase muito complicada pra quem tá disputando o Mundial fora de casa. Okay, so I would like to know, how do you handle pressure in critical moments? And also, especially when communicate needs to be clear and fast, since he is the captain of the team.
เขาถามว่าเราจัดการกับความกดดันระหว่างการเล่นยังไงโดยเฉพาะเวลาที่เราต้องสื่อสารอะไรออกไปให้ชัดเจนเพราะเราเป็นกัปตันทีมถูกไหม
ก็ เล่นปกติครับดูรูปแบบเกมใช่เพราะว่าหน้าเกมก็แก้กันอีกทีเราเน้นทีมเวิร์กอยู่แล้วครับ
We just try to focus on what really happened at that moment and be calm, and we are already a good teamwork. Yeah, so we like try to fix the situation when it just happened.
Perfeito. Perguntei pra ele como é que ele lida com a comunicação, quando a comunicação precisa ser rápida e limpa, né? E ele falou assim que só pensa no momento que está acontecendo, né? Eles não pensam mais nada e de fato é uma comunicação muito mais limpa e ele tenta simplesmente focar ali e passar a melhor comunicação pro time dele. Pra quem não sabe, Joena é o capitão do time da Buriram. Então é isso, minha família. A dinâmica aqui do MVP já foi entregue nas mãos aqui do Joena. Ele é o MVP do dia de hoje, tá bom? E a gente tá fazendo essa dinâmicazinha aqui dos MVPs do dia. Então, o MVP do dia de hoje é do Joena da Buriram. Vamos agora voltar pra Camilota pra gente finalizar o nosso dia, porque não teve nenhum buia brasileiro, mas ainda assim o show precisa continuar.
So here we are, the MVP of the day, Buriram United Esports. Jonah, can you show the trophy to everyone, please? Yes, congratulations, and we hope to see you guys rise and more shine. This is the end of our interview. I'll see you guys back, and then let's head back to our caster and see the highlights.
I hope Buriram is ready to share the MVP award I was saying just now. I probably should go to Moshi next.
Yeah, they can have one trophy for everyone. You know, like if they get anything beyond that, I feel like we should start disqualifying them from MVP trophies.
Disqualifying them?
Give it to other people.
Right.
You know. Maybe disqualify isn't the right word, but you know, we gotta give.
Don't do participation awards here in Free Fire. We only award the best.
Yeah, sure, but if that's the case, then well, tough crowd, huh? It's hard to beat BRU when they are this good. You got 3 out of 4 of the players, well, including Backlong, because he did play 3 out of 5 players in the top 5. Of course, team of the day, BRU again, 3 booyahs, 51 elims. Well, essentially, how much was that? Almost 100 points. Yeah, almost 100 points today.
I don't think they broke 100, did they?
No, they didn't, but almost 100.
Actually,
they did. Wow, okay.
We can't math, apparently.
I completely forgot that even if they didn't get the booyah, they're still placement points. So yes, they did break 100. 103 points.
But this overall standings gives us a better idea of how the teams really did, right? So Retta, they started out strong. Unfortunately, they weren't able to keep it up. I was really hoping for this team to sort of be that come-up underdog team, but at the end of the day, the consistency just wasn't there. They did bomb out, I think, in 2 rounds, which unfortunately contributed to their lack of points. But towards the top, you can see we are starting to get that very significant gap between our top competitors and our bottom competitors. Overall standings, though, Husky, I don't think we're seeing any major changes here. Like nothing that was ever concerning, anything that would have really changed the storyline. I think we kind of expected everyone to be where they are.
Yes. I mean, for CLG and Retta, they made it to top 12, but that's going to change very soon, right? When Group C starts playing. But I would say Evil's Divine didn't make it to top 12 at the very end of today, right? They are in 13th spot, 136 points. They are 4 points behind Falcons. So that is a big problem for Evil's Divine, right? Because they only got 6 more rounds to go, and it's the most important 6 rounds in their career in this tournament. Once they go back, get back onto the playing field, if they don't make use of it and get like massive rounds, there's a good chance you won't see Evil's Divine in Point Rush.
Yeah, especially with the fact that the teams in Group C, they haven't played any games. They have 12 games, which really is going to have to light the fire on their backside. They've got to grab those points because we are almost at the end of the elimination stage. Only 12 teams are going to make it through, which means 6 teams have to go home. And we always say this for every tournament, especially when it comes to these elimination rounds where you are getting those points. You need to earn enough points so that you don't leave your fate in the hands of other teams. We have seen this happen time and time again where a team barely scrapes through and then they're watching the final play day and we can imagine them sitting together, huddled, praying that the teams that are competing for top 12, they don't get the points to steal your spot away.
Yeah, and this feels very going to feel a lot more different because you're on the world stage, you're in a foreign country, and I think for EVOS Divine, this is probably one of the few times that they had to travel so far, right? And then when you look back at how close they came to bringing a trophy back for Indonesia just less than half a year ago, and right now the dichotomy, and they might not even make it to top 12, it's going to be a bitter pill to swallow for EVOS Divine. So gotta buckle up after the day. There's still 6 more rounds to go. It's definitely not over just yet. They definitely have a good chance of making it, but not with today's performance.
No. I think if anything, you have to have an outstanding last play day. As in, you earn the most points you have earned through the entire elimination stage on that final play day. But unfortunately, you're not the only team that's going to be hungry for those points. There are other teams that are in the exact same spot as EVOS Divine, so I think at this point you have to sort of hope that you're hungrier than these other teams and you can outcompete them, especially when you're trying to grab the points. I kind of feel like there could be a really good case where there are going to be some of these bottom-feeding teams cannibalizing off of each other, knowing that you have to get rid of each other. Otherwise, if they're left in the competition, you're letting them get points just from existing.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, but definitely not over just yet. Well, that concludes our first day of the second week of knockout stage for the Free Fire World Series Global Finals happening in Rio de Janeiro. But we still got 2 more days to go before we find out our top 12 teams. So we're going to sign off for the night. It's Husky and Danalee. We'll see you guys tomorrow, same time, for day 5 of the knockout stage. Until then, goodbye. Have a good night.